All the time, he sits up there, bushman, he has his cigar. It's always good looking up after him. I'm at third base there, seeing him up there. Dad gives me the salute with the cigar. Enjoying his life, you know.
Now it's crushed by John Salazzo, and that one is gone. Number 7 on the year for John Salazzo. It's 8-1.
You hear the sound of that? It is a different sound, eh?
Hit on the ground, long throw to first. Good play by John Salazzo, and that will do it. So the bottom of the 6th we go, 8-1 Toronto. It's 3 wins in a row for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, I think we're looking at one of the hottest teams in the Intercounty Baseball League. Hey everyone, welcome back to Leafs Weekly. Yes, with that win for the Toronto Maple Leafs, they made it 3 in a row, beating the Brantford Red Sox 12-2. John Salazzo staying hot, now leading the Intercounty Baseball League in home runs, tied with Liam Wilson of the Kitchener Panthers. So a good week. Let's flash you back to a game before, this one in London, and this was an interesting game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They led 7-0 at one point, and then the London Majors at home came all the way back, and the Maple Leafs eventually winning that game 7-5. So that was the second game of the 3-game win streak. Really good start for Sam Green in this one. He went 5 and he was excellent, and that's big for Sam Green because he had a start against the Welland Jackfish before, which is one I think he'd like to have back, where he gave up a boatload of runs and said that he didn't have the pitches that he usually does. But this game, he comes back. He has a really good outing against London, who we know has always been a tough team, but the London Majors are on a 6-game losing streak right now in the Intercounty Baseball League, so they're trying to get things turned around. And then we take you to the 9th inning of that game when the Leafs were just trying to hold on as the London Majors slowly clawed their way back into that game. Well, Alvarado comes on the mound for the Toronto Maple Leafs, allows 2 base runners and throws a lot of fastballs, and we know that the slider is so good for Alvarado. And then he comes in, gets a strikeout on a fastball of Eduardo Deolio, and we know that he's a really tough hitter, really good catcher for the London Majors. And after that fastball, throws nothing but sliders to get Byron Reichstein, and then eventually Cleveland Brownlee to close out the game. So we now know that pitch is really, really good for Hannes Alvarado. And in that situation, he might have been losing a little bit on the fastball. Slider came in and completely finished the game. So that was the flashback to game 2 and then game 3. And then we take you one game further. After the win over the Brantford Red Sox, this was against the Barrie Baycats, and for the first time this season, the Toronto Maple Leafs failed to score 5 runs, and they ended up losing that game 15-3. So, a developing storyline, I guess, there for the Leafs offense. They finally had a night where they only scored 3 runs, so we'll see what they can do in the weeks ahead.
We got some big news too. Breaking news, we got Tak MVP. Big stud playing 2 big today. No.
Lineup's getting deep.
This would be dangerous.
Yeah, I could listen to John Salazzo have a mic on. We should always... Wait. Who's playing second base?
Tak MVP.
Garrett Takamatsu, IBL MVP, is back with the Toronto Maple Leafs. We need to bring in Jeff Lounsbury to talk about this right now. Jeff?
So basically, we saw Garrett the other day. We've been in contact with Garrett like through the whole process. And, he's like, I'm trying to play pro and see how my injury goes and stuff like that. And then I saw him in our dugout the other day in Hamilton. He was visiting the players and visiting the guys, so I knew he was back. If his knee holds out, and he may go back to Quebec, he may go back to the Frontier League. We want to support him in that, of course. And if it doesn't, then we get, one of the best second basemen and one of the best hitters in the league back in our lineup. And we're glad to take whatever we can get.
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting situation to see what happens with Garrett Takamatsu. I mean, he is playing professional baseball in the Frontier League, but right now with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we don't know whether he's going to stay for the whole season or whether he's going to go. In fact, I don't even know if Garrett knows that at this point yet. But In the meantime, there's no question that Garrett Takamatsu is going to help the Toronto Maple Leafs offense while he is here with the team. So if the Maple Leafs are trying to gun down a first or second place spot and see if they can't find their way up towards where the Welland Jackfish are sitting right now, having Garrett Takamatsu in the lineup certainly won't hurt. So if you were watching at the beginning of the season, Jordan Costaldo has said that this is going to be his final year in the Intercounty Baseball League. 6 championships with the Barrie Baycats, and also listed as one of the top 100 players of all time in the Intercounty Baseball League. You can find that list of players on the IBL website. No question that Jordan Costaldo has definitely left his mark on the Intercounty Baseball League. I got a chance to speak to him after the 12-2 win over Brantford.
It's just trying to find that motivation, that drive. It gets harder every year. The further and further away you get from the game, it gets that much more difficult. When you take a look at the roster now this year, we got some younger guys, and give somebody else a chance, right? And I've had a blast doing this for the last 15 summers. Maybe it's just time for a little bit of a change. But I might get on the golf course a little bit more, maybe some traveling, but. I'm just going to soak this one up, try to get this ring. I still love playing the game. My mind's still there, but maybe the body isn't as sharp that way. So, we'll see. But, as it stands right now, I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm at on that decision. And, been doing this since I was 6 years old, playing organized baseball. So, it's what we at, 28 years doing it. Right, so it's a long time, right? So a lot of miles on the body too. So, but we'll see. We'll obviously reevaluate, but pretty sure this will be the last one.
Yeah. Well, before you hit the links, is there any motivation to try and win a championship in your final year?
Oh, absolutely. That's the main goal. That's the entire reason I'm back here, right? That's the only reason I'm back here is trying to win a ring. Obviously I know how special it is, winning the 6 times in Barrie, but I get kind of those nervous butterflies just thinking about what it might be like here with these guys. So everybody works hard. We got a lot of gamers. These guys deserve it, and I certainly want them to experience what I was able to experience up in Barrie for all those years.
Good to hear from Jordan Costaldo there, and that's kind of what's exciting about this Toronto Maple Leafs team this year. There's a lot of players on this team that have really high aspirations, and as Jordan Costaldo said, he made it very clear that the reason that he's back here this year with the Toronto Maple Leafs is because he wants another ring. So it'll be fun to watch what happens with this Maple Leafs team. We know that they got the bats. We know that they got some pitching as well. It'll just be a matter of can they catch this Welland Jackfish team or the Barrie Baycats team. Those seem to be the two main competitors right now. Okay, let's take a look at the week ahead for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Brantford Red Sox on Saturday. The Maple Leafs were able to handle them pretty easily on June 18th with that 12-2 win. They got another game, but this one's going to be in Brantford. And then back to Christie Pitts. You can come on down to the game on June 25th on Sunday. That game is going to be a big one. It's against the Welland Jackfish. Remember, the Toronto Maple Leafs took a pretty healthy loss to the Welland Jackfish last time they played them. And the Welland Jackfish are on a massive winning streak. So that could be very interesting at the Pits. And the Maple Leafs, I think, are ready for that challenge. And then we have another Wednesday night game at the Pits. So make sure you come out to that game. It'll be a rematch with Barrie, a team that the Maple Leafs lost to in their last time playing them as well. So a couple revenge games coming up on Sunday and on Wednesday for the Maple Leafs. You can check out those games on YouTube, on the Toronto Maple Leafs YouTube channel, or you can come down to Christie Pitts, and we hope to see you there. Thanks for watching Leafs Weekly. Welcome to Christie Pitts. Thomas West alongside Gus Cousins. Today, the Welland Jackfish in town against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and a good pitching matchup we have today as well. Adam Jeffine taking on Dan Procopio, and starting with Dan Procopio, I mean, this is a guy who had a start to the season that I think he was still kind of waiting to get into the swing of things, but had a fantastic outing in his last go against Brantford. That was a 12-2 win for Toronto, giving up just the one earned run over 5 2/3.
Yeah, he looked terrific, and it was a much-needed outing for him. We talked about it last broadcast last Sunday, is that facing a Brantford team with such a big lead that the Maple Leafs had there was a good challenge for him, a good test to get him rolling, right? It boosts your confidence when you can put up numbers like he did. One run over 5 2/3, and he's looking to build off of that today against a really, really good Welland team. It'll be a much tougher opponent than Brantford was, because Welland, as we all know, is leading the standings right now. They just had their win streak snapped the other day, but it'll be a much better test for him today than it was against Brantford, and he's looking to build off what's been a fantastic last few outings for him.
Adam Jeffine comes in with a similar ERA to Dan Procopio, and by the way, that last outing by Dan Procopio was his longest in his Intercounty Baseball League career at 5 2/3. A guy who can easily go more than 5 2/3 is Adam Jeffine. In fact, he went 5 innings, gave up 5 runs in his last outing against Toronto. But it was, if you go 5 innings and give up 5 runs, and especially with the two offenses that these two have, it gives your team a chance to win, and that's exactly what happened with an 11-9 win for Welland last time he pitched here at Dominico Field.
Yeah, and the numbers weren't great the last time he pitched here, but he got off to a good start, and these two offenses, as you've been saying, are two of the best in the league. So to put up numbers like that, it's by no means a bad outing, and if they could get that out of him today, I think they'll be pretty set.
Both of these pitchers will give their team a chance to win today, and this is a big one. The Welland Jackfish finally having that long win streak snapped. Gio Morello is going to lead things off this afternoon. Hogan Brown, James Smybert, Steve Moretto, and then Mateo Porcelato, Sam Cocker, Luis Jean, Luis Jean, I should say, McCoy Pearson, the speedy Brandon Nicholson playing the outfield and batting ninth for Welland this afternoon. Procopio's first pitch is just outside. This one's hit in the air by Gio Morello, and that one's going to get down, go all the way to the wall. J.J. Dutton will pick it up in center field. Morello's going for 3, and he is in there with a slide. A lead-off triple for Morello.
Yeah, and Morello just jumped all over a Procopio fastball there and ripped it right into the gap. A bit of trouble getting back in for the Leafs, and this is the offense that we've been talking about with the Welland Jackfish. They're going to hit you hard, they're going to hit you early and often. And a leadoff triple right there, not the start that Procopio or the Leafs wants, but just a good piece of hitting it right into the right center field gap. And a speedy Morello is going to get in there nice and easy to start the game.
So here's Hogan Brown as he fouls that one off. Hogan Brown hit a first inning home run against Barrie in last night's contest, and that was a big one. 13 wins in a row for the Welland Jackfish, and it seemed like if anyone was going to break the win streak, it would be the Barrie Baycats. They've been also one of the hotter teams in the IBL. As this one's hit in the air in center field, pretty deep, will probably be enough to score the run. Morello is going to race in. Throw was on line from J.J. Dutton, but it's the first RBI of the ball game, a sac fly for Hogan Brown, and it's 1-0 Welland.
Yeah, and after a leadoff triple there, ideally you want to strand him, but if you can't, like in what we just saw there, that's the second best instance that you could have happened, which is getting an out. It's 3 or 4 pitches in the ballgame now. It's 1-0, but we're back to being reset, nobody on base, and Procopio's just got to settle in here after giving up the leadoff triple.
So this is James Smybert, the Mississauga, Ontario native, batting .435 on the season. Right up there with some of his teammates among the IBL leaders in the average department. Procopio's pitch over the outside corner, 2-1. Dan Procopio also gave up his only run in the first inning in his last outing against the Brantford Red Sox. This one's hit pretty well. Back towards the wall, and running it down is J.J. Dutton to retire James Smybert, 2 away.
And a great read off the bat right there by J.J. Dutton. That ball was splitting the gap. If it didn't hang up so high, Smybert got under it just a little bit, and Dutton, with his speed out there, just ran that one down right away. Good break on it, heading to his left over his shoulder and making a nice catch, and there's quickly now 2 away.
For the first time here at Dominico Field, John Salazzo is not playing third base this afternoon, out of the lineup tonight. So it's Garrett Takamatsu who slides in there at third. And if you're wondering where Garrett Takamatsu came from and you haven't seen this Maple Leafs lineup over the last 2 games, yeah, he's back with the Toronto Maple Leafs, but we don't know how permanent he is. He still does have a commitment to playing with the Capitals, as this one's ripped foul down the line by Steven Moretto. So here on kind of a rehab assignment is Garrett Takamatsu, playing in the Intercounty Baseball League, but the Maple Leafs will take his bat in any way that they can get.
For as long as we can.
Yeah.
We want him around as much as possible, and he's just getting back into the swing of things with the team, obviously. And it's nice to see a familiar face around after the last couple seasons have gone the way they have for him.
Should John Salazzo be in the lineup, though, he will typically slide over and play second base. That one's inside 2-1. Steven Moretto batting .309 this season. Swings and misses, 2-2. Moretto 1 for 4 in that 14-2 loss for Welland against Barrie. Takes a pitch in the dirt and the count runs full. Dan Procopio looks in, full count pitch, swung on and missed, strike 3. Dan Procopio limits the damage in the first inning, gives up the 1 run, and the Welland Jackfish lead 1-0 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll be right back. Joined by Robin Fox-Pappas here. Robin, big game for you guys today because you're playing the first place team, but a team that just ended their 13-game win streak. What are your thoughts coming into today's game?
Yeah, big game today. Boys are looking forward to it. Always looking forward to Sunday at the pits. I feel like we played really well here this year. Want to continue that. We definitely owe them one from earlier this year. We kind of let one slip away from us. So, yeah, definitely very aware of that win streak. They were white hot for a while, but it seems like they might be slowing down a little bit now. And, we're going to give them a good go today.
Yeah, and this might be a good chance for you guys today because you're playing a team who played yesterday.
Yeah.
You guys had your game rained out. Do you guys see that as maybe an opportunity to pounce here?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's always tough turning around after a Saturday night game. Last night would have been an 8 p.m. start, so that's tough on the road in Brantford. But yeah, we sometimes get a little bit of luck. That's how baseball goes. So we're looking to capitalize on that for sure.
All right, great. Good luck today.
Yeah, take care.
So a couple changes in the Toronto Maple Leafs lineup this afternoon. As always, Jose Vinicio leading things off, and then Dan Mara is gonna slide in and hit second. Jordan Costaldo playing first base and batting third. Garrett Takamatsu playing third base. He's gonna bat cleanup this afternoon. Ryan Burnside doing the catching in the absence of Justin Mara. And then J.J. Dutton playing center field. David Alvarez gets the start at DH. Yoichi Ishihara in left field. And then Ryan Dos Santos back in the lineup for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's playing right field this afternoon. Adam Jeffine delivers strike one to Jose Vinicio. Vinicio swings and misses quickly behind in the count 0-2. Jose Vinicio will find himself behind in the count quite a bit. He likes to swing the bat, but he also will get a lot of contact as well. Big hole up the middle here for Jose Vinicio to shoot for. 0-2. Way outside, 1-2. Jeffine looked like he had a breaking ball slip out of his hand there, went up over the head of Jose Vinicio. Jose Vinicio's batting average continuing to climb this season, up to .317 on the year. Takes a breaking ball outside, and now he's worked the count to 3-2 from being in an 0-2 hole.
And as is always the case when the Maple Leafs faced any lefty pitcher, starting pitcher on any team, they have such predominantly lefty-heavy lineup, especially when the regulars like Salazzo and Mara and Carrington are in, none of which are in the lineup today. They're all absent. But even in their absence, they have so many lefties that they're going to have to work the count on these guys a lot because of the tough matchups.
Vinicio gets jammed, puts one on the ground, throw to first just in time. Good play by Luis Jean there at shortstop.
Now batting second baseman number 6, Dan Mara.
So here's Dan Mara, and out of the lineup last game for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but has had a fantastic start to the season. Batting .395, and he's even coming off an 0-for-4 game against Barrie. Takes the first pitch in there for a strike. Dan Mara last played here at Dominico Field on June 11th. That was a 14-10 for the Maple Leafs over Guelph, and he was 3-for-5 with a couple RBIs. Now he hits one sharply on the ground, big high hop. On to first to get the out. Mateo Porcelato had to be careful on that wicked hop off the seam of the grass here at Dominico Field.
And it seems like every game that we play here, we're talking about the infield and the hops that come off of it. We've seen so many times this year sharply hit grounders right at someone, bounce up, hit them in the face, bounce over their head, take a wild bounce. It's something that is uniquely disturbing for this field that we play at, but we're used to it here, and it's something that, until it's fixed, will be a major player whenever anybody comes to town against these Maple Leafs.
Makes things interesting on the infield, that's for sure. Jordan Costaldo coming to the plate with 2 outs. Garrett Takamatsu is on deck, hopeful of an at-bat. Jeffine's first pitch was outside, and now Costaldo rocketing one onto the street down the left field line. Jordan Costaldo saying this is most likely his last year in the Intercounty Baseball League, and he's left a mark on this league, and he said really the only reason that he's back here with the Toronto Maple Leafs this year is he wants to try and win an IBL championship. So that's where Jordan Costaldo's head is at, as he takes a breaking ball that looked like it just hooked around the plate. Adam Jeffy, and asking the home plate umpire if it was high, he nods his head.
Yeah, and especially the way the last season ended. You know, it's no one wants to leave with a bitter taste in their mouth, like how it happened with the Maple Leafs against London. So to see him back out on the field again this year for the Maple Leafs is a good thing for the team for sure.
The last 2 seasons, both 2021 and 2022 IBL seasons, finishing with a Toronto Maple Leafs and London Majors final.
Still lots to do before that they get
3rd time's the charm.
It really doesn't seem like that's going to be the final this year in the Intercounty Baseball
No, it
League.
doesn't.
The London Majors have lost 8 consecutive games and find themselves in second last. Jordan Costaldo hits one in the air. This one's looping down the left field line, but it's going to bounce around in the Maple Leafs bullpen about 10 feet foul. The London Majors right now are in serious danger of being overtaken by the Brantford Red Sox. Brantford has won 2 games this year. London has won just 4.
Okay, let's go get
The Guelph Royals got off to a tough start as well, but they seem to be turning things around. But
And we're at a point where if London wants to be considered, you know, a serious threat when it comes to the playoffs, they're going to have to start turning things around soon, and they're going to have to do it quickly.
Costaldo hits one in the air. This is a rather lazy fly ball to left field. Hogan Brown's under it. He makes the catch, and that will do it. Adam Jeffy gets a 1-2-3 inning and preserves a 1-0 lead for the Welland Jackfish. Last year, you guys went to the IBL Finals, and you lost 4 of your first 6 games. This year, you've had a really good start. Does this team feel like it might even be better than the team from last year?
Yeah, you know, I feel like a lot of the core players are back, which is good to keep that kind of camaraderie with the team. But we did add a lot of depth, which helps a lot, especially in a season where guys are coming from work, and it's a pretty long season as they increase the games. I think that depth helps a lot. If I had to say, I'd say we are a little bit better than last year for sure.
I talked to Sam Green the other day, who's been really good on the mound for you guys, and he said that you and him as the pitcher-catcher duo have been working really well together. I'm wondering, you're working with a guy that's new to the team this year. How have things gone coming with the imports and just working with them on their pitches?
For sure. Early in the year, it's you got to try and see what guys got. You try and get some side sessions. You see them in the bullpen, but you know, a lot of these guys got pretty good pedigree. We know where they've played, and you can tell from right away what these guys got. And it's just working with them, communicating with them, seeing what pitches they like. And also, you know, I know a lot of the hitters in the league. A lot of these guys been around, so kind of working back and forth, and it's been really good so far.
Welcome back to Dominico Field. Dan Procopio back on the mound for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He faces second baseman Matteo Porzolato. And his first pitch is in the dirt to the backstop. Brian Burnside behind the plate, just catching his second game for the Maple Leafs this season. Dan Procopio pitched to Justin Mara his last time out. As this one's fisted to left field, it's carrying pretty deep and it's gonna bounce off the wall. There's gonna be a play at second base, and realizing that was Mateo Porcelato, he retreats to first with a long single down the line. And a really sharp play out there by Yuichi Ishihara to cut that one off.
Yeah, he took that ball off the wall perfectly. It one-hopped the fence, and he grabbed it with his bare hand and just chucked a strike into second base there to keep Porcelato at first base. A really nice play. It was cutting away from him, slicing down the left field line. And to keep it just to a leadoff single here with Sam Cocker coming up is a good start to the inning. Played that ball perfectly, one-hopped against the fence.
The catcher, Sam Cocker. Porcelato, always a steal threat over there at first base. Sam Cocker with 4 home runs already on the year. Cocker has had 50 at-bats, drove in 16 runs, and struck out just 9 times. Dan Procopio set. Here comes the 1-1. There goes Porcelato. Throw it onto second base. It was pretty good. And now the ball gets into center field. J.J. Dutton throws to third, and look at the speed from Mateo Porcelato. He motors all the way around the third base on the throw that got into center field, and boy, he really turned on the afterburners coming around second.
He did, and it was just not a great throw up the middle from Burnside, and then not blocked at second base. And the throw coming back into third base from Dutton in center was offline, and that's it showcases how quick and effective that these Welland Jun are at going base to base, right? Like the leadoff triple we saw in the first inning, all it takes is a sac fly to cash it. There's 1 run. Same position here essentially is a sac fly, and it's quickly 2-0. They put runs on the board very, very quickly early on.
Here's a shallow fly ball towards center field. Dan Mara goes back and makes the catch. So that's a big first out, number 1, is for the second inning in a row, the Welland Jackfish have a runner on third base. There goes Porcelato.
And
this is how it
exactly
happened. Look at this throw down. Sorry there, Gus. Throw to center field. And now the ball gets J.J. to Dutton center made
field.
a great throw to
J.J.
third base, but look at the speed coming into third base.
Yeah,
from
and in
Mateo
cases like that, the
Porcelato.
next
He
2
motors
batters, you
all
talk
the way
about strikeout or pop-up there, right? And Procopio did a good job. He got a pop-up. He got one of the 2 most effective outs to keep the runner on third. Now if you can get this guy, again, strikeout or pop-out or hard ground ball to the right side, and you can escape this inning with no damage. And that's what we talked about, a great play by Ishihara to start the inning, and otherwise he would have been scored.
Maple Leafs have that in mind, but it's lined into the outfield. That one gets down. Yuichi Ishihara running over to cut it off once again, and he'll do a good job to limiting a single. But on the play, the run comes in to score, so it's 2-0 Welland Jackfish. Is an RBI single from Luis Jean, the shortstop.
And Jean just turned on that off-speed pitch by Procopio right there. Just sat on it and lined him right down the line. It's something that Procopio is going to have to be careful of today. You throw too many curveball sliders in the zone, these guys are just going to sit on it and wait. If they know that they don't want to hit the hard fastball that Procopio has, they can just wait for the off-speed pitch and just turn on it and crank it. It's what they're really good at. They are such a good offensive team that they're going to do that to you all game long if you don't watch out for it.
The big ready batter, McCoy Pierce, out of Kamloops, BC, stands in. And he hits one on the ground. Tough hop for Jose Vinicio, fields it, throw to first, not in time. Jose Vinicio had to wait on that ball. And it gave McCoy Pierce just enough time to beat out the fielder's choice at first base. But there is 2 away, and here comes the number 9 hitter, Brandon Nicholson.
And if you're Procopio, you got to end it right here. You don't want to turn the lineup over and get back to Morello and Brown with 2 runners on this inning. You got to end it right here and leave the leadoff guys for Welland for the next inning when he starts fresh.
Brandon Nicholson Hails from not too far away from here, but in another country. Comes from Buffalo, New York. That one's just inside, so now 2-0. The last thing Dan Procopio would want to do right now is turn the lineup over to Gio Morello, who hit a triple off him to lead off the ball game. And he's in danger of doing that, now falls behind 3-0 to Nicholson. Right down the middle, 3-1. Good jump at first base by Welland Jun. Throw down. Good throw, but it short hopped Dan Mara, but I think he was in there anyway. Sorry, that's McCoy Pierce over there at first. Welland Jun throwing out at second base on the McCoy Pierce fielder's choice, and then that was a hard fastball that goes right into the back. Brandon Nicholson, he's going to head down to first base, but that one does not feel nice when it gets you right between the shoulder blades.
No, and Procopio just wound one back and tried to rip a fastball by him to end the inning, and that's what happens when you're a hard thrower to begin with, and then you lose track of, well, your stuff really is when you try and rear back for an extra hard fastball, you're not going to be as accurate, you're not throwing it as much. And we talk all the time about not wanting to walk the 9-hitter, much less in this case drill the guy. Now there's 2 men on for the top of the lineup. It's playing the lineup that they give you, right? If you could have gotten out of the inning there and left Morello for the third, that would have been ideal. But now you have to face the man who hit a line drive triple into the gap, and that's the last thing you want to do right here, trying to limit the damage.
Morello, the batter, takes low, ball 1. Dan Procopio walked 3 in his last outing and 5 2/3, and walked 4 in the outing before that. That was against the Guelph Royals, where he gave up 7 runs over 4 1/3. Hard ground ball, bounding towards the middle. Dan Mara throws to first in time. Dan Mara had a little bit of indecision whether he wanted to try and beat Nicholson to the bag. Instead, made a confident throw over to first base to end the inning, but the Welland Jackfish tack on one more. They lead 2-0 over Toronto. There goes Porcelado, throw it onto second base. So it'll be Garrett Takamatsu leading things off, batting an even .500 to start out his season in the Intercounty Baseball League. Pitches over the outside corner for a strike. The Toronto Maple Leafs have a bit of an advantage today because their game got rained out yesterday, and which means that they haven't played since Thursday. Pitches outside. And the Welland Jackfish are coming off their third game in 3 games, which really makes it ever so important that Adam Jaffine is able to go deep into this ball game. And if you're wondering whether or not Adam Jaffine can go deep into the ball game, as this one's lined into the outfield, Garrett Takamatsu stays hot in the Intercounty Baseball League. He has a leadoff single. He had 2 consecutive outings playing for the Brantford Red Sox last year, and these were actually his last 2 outings of the season. The first one was a 4-2, or sorry, this was 2 years ago for Adam Jaffine. The first one, he threw 135 pitches over 9 innings in a 4-2 win over Kitchener in the 2021 season. And then in his last outing of the year, right after that, he threw 147 pitches over 9 innings. So he had 2 consecutive outings where he threw over 130 pitches and went all 9.
And that's just something you're not going to see in very many baseball leagues anymore.
No.
I mean, IBL aside, you're not going to see that in professional, competitive, organized baseball. Teams will not let their starters go that deep. In the IBL, of course, it's different. But to have them go that long, and stop me if you've heard it before, we talked about it the last two Sundays here, is bullpen management. We talked about it with the Brantford Red Sox. We talked about it with the Guelph Royals before that. Guys having to eat innings. And today, again, Welland playing so many games lately, they need Jaffine to go deep in this one. Save some arms.
Ryan Burnside's the batter. He's got Garrett Takamatsu over there at first base. Now behind in the count, 2-1. Ryan Burnside with the 1 home run on the season. Burnside rips one down the left field line, deep but foul. Last time the Maple Leafs played the Welland Jackfish, they got pretty soundly on Welland Jackfish soil, but the one highlight in the game for the Maple Leafs was an unbelievable catch by Ryan Burnside, who was playing left field. He made a leaping catch out there in left. Swings and just gets a piece of a low Jaffine breaking ball. Count remains 2-1.
And Burnside, for the most part this year, primarily has been used as one of 2 DHs the Maple Leafs have rotated through. He's playing a little bit in left field, only second game behind the plate, as you said today. But it's versatility is never a bad thing to have, and with Burnside, they're really trying to develop having him as a utility outfielder as well.
Swings and misses, strike 3. While we're on the topic, this was the catch from Ryan Burnside. I totally screwed it up for you guys there, but I had a really good idea.
We'll bring it back in a couple batters, don't worry.
JJ Dutton at the plate.
It didn't look great on our end. You just got to take our word for it.
No, it looked bad on my end too. JJ Dutton hitting .333 on the season, continuing to play good baseball in center field as he hits one up the middle. That one deflects off the glove of Luis Jean, and sneaking around to third base is Garrett Takamatsu. He read that play really well, and it's 1st and 3rd with 1 out for the Maple Leafs. All right. Try number 2. Here's the play by Ryan Burnside playing in the outfield. Watch this leaping catch as he gets up there. And he knew it right away, a little hop off the wall.
Oh, absolutely. It feels so much better when you're not out there consistently and you make a play like that. It's not every day that you get the chance to play out there. In Burnside's case, he's been DHing so much. So when you got the shot out there and you do something fantastic like that, You got to milk it a little bit.
First pitch is a strike to David Alvarez. Really good opportunity here for David Alvarez to get things going. Just 2 hits and 17 at-bats. He would love to try and maybe dish some kind of soft serve into the outfield. Jay Dutton faked to go, and then it was a nasty breaking ball that found the strike zone from Adam Jeffy, and it's 0-2.
And this is what Welland does so well offensively, is whenever they get guys on base, whenever they have guys in scoring position, they capitalize, they cash them in. Sure, they'll give them an out or two, but they'll score the 2 runs so far off of just putting balls in play with runners on base.
Alvarez hits one sharply to second base. This could be a double play. Flipped to Porcelado onto first to get the double play. Alvarez hit it hard, but exactly in the wrong spot, and the Welland Jackfish keep the Toronto Maple Leafs off the board. They lead by 2. We'll be back here in just a couple moments here at Dominico Field. Well, what a streak it was for the Welland Jackfish. 13 wins in a row after losing their first 2 games of the Intercounty Baseball League season. It took until last night against the Barrie Baycats to get that 3rd loss, as they've proven to be the toughest team to beat in the Intercounty Baseball League. And it was really just one bad inning. They had an 8-run 4th inning and then gave up 3 in the 9th against the Barrie Baycats. And the Toronto Maple Leafs, anytime they're playing a team that played the night before, they want to see a lot of pitchers be used. And last night, the Welland Jackfish used Jackman, Underhill, Lawson, Bovado, Boulier, Howard, Bradwell, and Mueller all in the same game, and they all threw over 20 pitches. So this outing for Adam Jeffine is big here for Welland.
And it makes it all the more important to get on Jeffine early. Like we saw last time, you got 2 guys on, but you couldn't do anything with it. If you want to reach into that depleted Welland bullpen, you're going to have to hit Jeffine over the next, I'd say, 2 or 3 innings. If you can get him out before the 5th, that's a win on its own, because they're so depleted down there. Although we mentioned Davy Garcia hasn't been used, and that's a name we'll talk about later, I'm sure.
Yeah, Davy Mendez. Davy Mendez. There's ball 4 to Hogan Brown. Davy Mendez he's got it going for the Welland Jackfish. Hasn't given up a run all season. He's got Narco kept playing when he comes out of the bullpen. You know that song, who was it? Who had that? in Major League Baseball? Diaz, Edwin Diaz song?
Oh, yes.
The trumpets?
Yeah, Timmy Trumpet.
Now you
yes.
know,
Yes.
I should have said Timmy Trumpet to start. Runner goes. Throw down to second, not in time. Jose Vinicio knew it right away. That was a heck of a jump by Hogan Brown.
And we've seen it 3 times now early on in this game for Welland. Their speed is going to take them places that the Maple Leafs won't, right? You got to have competitive throws down, and you got to be competitive on the base paths. They've had no problem getting the extra 90 feet. 3 steals and advanced on an overthrow at second.
Ground ball, that's going to advance the runner. Throw to first by Dan Mare in time. And once again, the Welland Jackfish have a runner on third base with less than 2 outs for the 3rd consecutive inning. The Welland Jackfish led the Inter-County Baseball League by a mile last year in stolen bases. Brendan Nicholson had a ton of those. This year, the Welland Jackfish still leading in that department. Close behind them, though, is the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Welland Jackfish have stolen 46 bases coming into this game. The Maple Leafs have stolen 37. As this one's going to get to the backstop, racing back to get it, but not in time, is Brian Burnside. And the Welland Jackfish have scored 1 run in each of the first 3 innings. They lead 3-0.
And in the same way that we talked about with Brantford last game here, not making mistakes that shouldn't be mistakes, allowing the other team to capitalize. It's the same that the Leafs have got to take advantage of that against Welland, the way that Brantford did against the Leafs, which is if you want to stay in these games, keep them close, is you can't be giving up runs like that. The team is too good. The Welland Jackfish are too good in every single way to give them runs. And that goes for most teams in the IBL. And when you start handing over runs, Brantford did it to Toronto, and you saw how that worked out for the Red Sox. You got to limit the damage when you're playing a team that good.
Especially today when the Maple Leafs are short a couple of big bats in the lineup. In fact, the 2 guys that have hit more than 2 home runs in their lineup, they're missing 13 home runs combined between John Salazzo and Justin Mara at the lineup this afternoon. And Jesse Hodges has a homer this year too. He's not in the lineup either. Dan Procopio just whipped a fastball to the backstop, and that one, if that was a hockey, I would say that one just beat him on the glove side.
Yeah, and we've seen that a little bit early on from Procopio this game, is just not finding that release point, right? Drilling, we saw him drill Nicholson on a full count. We've seen a couple wild pitches this inning. It's something that he's going to have to get in check, or else they're just going to run wild. And again, we see it there.
And Procopio is starting to struggle a little bit with the command on the mound for the Maple Leafs. The Leafs have pretty much everyone available in the bullpen. Maybe Julian Valdez unavailable, playing that game against the Barrie Bay Cats. Talked to Sam Green before the game, and I was just seeing if he was starting today, because I know he had a streak of starts here at Dominico Field to start the season. Now they've been using him more on the road. But I think Sam Green is available out of the bullpen. Here's one fouled off down the left side.
And on the flip side, for Dan Procopio's own sake, he had such a strong outing against Brantford, and that built up so much confidence that you don't want to see this start spiral to take that all away from him. You got to build on what's been good for him. And sure, going into this game, Welland was such a tough team anyways, but you can't let it spiral so much so that the bad from this game outweighs the good from last game. Because if you want Procopio to be one of your stronger starters, he's still new. He's still brand new to this team. Confidence is key.
Line drive, 1 hopper up the middle. That one's down for Mateo Porcelato. First and second with 1 out for Welland. The Welland Jackfish have a team batting average of .323, which is dead even with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Those are the 2 leaders in the IBL. In fact, only the Kitchener Panthers have a team batting average over .300. along with those two teams. The Maple Leafs have a team OPS of 910. The Welland Jackfish have a team OPS of 913, which, if you're a baseball fan, you know that's just wild.
Yeah, and it shows that these are two powerhouse offenses, but the Maple Leafs are right there with them, right? It doesn't matter what the score is. It's 3-0, but the Maple Leafs have shown that that is not a great hill that you got to overcome. They've put up so many runs this season that, sure, it's Welland, but they've done it before, and they'll do it again, as long as you keep it relatively close.
0-1 pitch, dished into the outfield. That one's going to get down. J.J. Dutton cuts it off. He'll have no play at the plate. The run comes in to score, and it's 4-0 Welland Jackfish.
Now batting shortstop, number 4, Luis Jun.
Adam Jeffine now with a little bit of a cushion here in the top of the third inning. Luis Jun stands in, lined a single down the left field line. All the way to the wall, but a good play by Yuichi Ishihara kept him at first base. Takes up and in, ball 1. Luis Jun playing for the Hamilton Cardinals last season. Takes a huge swing and a miss. 1-1.
And there are a great deal of ex-Hamilton Cardinals in this game today. Not necessarily in the starting lineup, but on our side, we talked about Ryan Burnside. You still see him with the red catcher's mask when he's behind the plate there. Robin Fox Pappas. A lot of ex-Hamilton Cardinals bouncing around on these two teams.
John goes the other way this time and hits it fair inside the line. It rolls into the corner. One run is around to score, and that's all they're going to get. But still threatening are the Welland Jackfish. They lead 5-0, and they have runners on second and third, but just one out. Luis Jun, such an integral part of this Welland Jackfish team, not only offensively. Didn't play in the Welland Jackfish loss last game. And if you're wondering, Luis Jun, every game that he's been in the lineup, or Luis Jean, sorry, every game that he's been in the lineup for the Welland Jackfish, they have won, as he does a really good job of taking that pitch the other way. I wouldn't be surprised if that was down and out of the strike zone, but still got good wood on it. Took it to right field.
Yeah, and it's just been really, really good pieces of hitting so far by Welland, taking the ball at the opposite field. You're not trying to pull it if it's a slider or a fastball in the outside corner. You're going with the pitch, which is what you got to do. Even the bloopy single up the middle there.
Jose Vinicio dives and makes a catch. Throws to first, not in time. Oh my goodness. That was the best diving stop I think I've seen at shortstop from Vinicio. But the throw just was not in time, and another run comes in to score. It's 6-0. Wow, that was a heck of a snag.
It was, and it was a hard hit ball lined in the left field, and he just came up with it. A really, really nice diving play. Unfortunately, he couldn't get the out at first. But he kept the double play in order, and now you can get a force at any bag. And as we speak, lefty Vilgenis Alvarado is up in the bullpen for the Leafs. Starting to get loose very slowly out there.
On Friday night, the Welland Jackfish were in Brantford, and they ended up winning the game 19-7. But that wasn't the whole story of that game. As Dan Procopio tries to get back in the count. Here's the 2-0. Swing and a miss by Nicholson. The story of that game was the Brantford Red Sox were leading 7-5 going into the 8th inning. And remember, the Brantford Red Sox don't win a lot of games, especially against the best team right now in the Intercounty Baseball League. And Dan Procopio as the runner at second base picked off. Garrett Takamatsu throws back, the tag is applied, and he is safe at second base. Dan Mara can't believe it, but it looks like Luis Jean might have did a little swim move around the tag there of Dan Mara.
Yeah, and I mean, we can take another look at it. I think what Mara might also be telling third base umpire Scott Cameron there is that Jean might have been out of the baseline there. When you dive around a tag like that, there's always a chance that you go so far out of the base paths that you're going to be called out, and I think that's one of the things that Mara was probably thinking about there. But again, it's a play not made, and if Welland's going to give you outs, you got to take them.
Procopio now starting to worry about the base runner since the running game has been so effective for Welland. Pitch is inside 3-1. All right, let's take another look at that play down there at second base. Yeah, hard to say there, but definitely getting out on the left side of the base. I guess the umpire deeming it wasn't far enough, swing and a miss, 3-2.
Yeah, and it's a tough play to see from the umpire in that case, right? You're looking at it from the perspective of looking towards the outfield as the ball is going to second and the tag is on the far side of the bag. You don't have a direct line of sight. Jean's diving back in there and Mara's, of course, applying the tag. Even if it's a close play, it's very, very hard for the umpire in that case to see.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Nicholson goes down swinging. Procopio battles right back in the count and gets the second out. So that game against the Brantford Red Sox, it should tee it up. Brantford didn't do themselves any favors because in that 19-7 loss that they were leading going into the 8th, they went on to make 8 errors in the ball game.
Yeah, I mean, stop me if you've heard me say this before, but the Brantford Red Sox defense is
not good.
Not very good.
8 errors in the game. Here's a bunt. It's going to roll down the line, and Takamatsu picks it up. He has no play. Gio Morello just put a perfect bunt down the line. And if you're Dan Procopio, you say, what do I have to do to get these batters out? The bases are loaded. Welland leads 6-0, and they're threatening for more.
Yeah, and it's a perfect bunt, right? Like, there's 2 out. It's the leadoff man, Morello. I don't want to say that it's out of the question that he would do that, but he's obviously shown that he can do it, and it was just a perfect bunt right there. Kept it on the grass so it didn't roll to the left, it didn't roll towards the line, which is what you want to do in that case. And now it's an even tougher situation for Procopio to pitch out of.
If Dan Procopio doesn't get Hogan Brown here, you'd think that this game might be out of reach for the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is a huge batter for Procopio early in the game. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Good block there by Ryan Burnside to keep the runner from coming in from third
he
base.
saved a run right there. That would have been the second run had he not blocked that. That would have scored on a wild pitch. And we talk about, limiting the damage. James Smybert's on deck, a lefty, and Alvarado in the bullpen. You look at it, you wonder if, it doesn't get blown wide open here if they bring in Will Jennis just to face the lefty with the bases loaded if Smybert's up this inning.
0-2. Chopped foul. Hogan Brown just got a piece of it. Dan Procopio has some waste pitches here if he wants them. Ahead in the count, 0-2. Here it comes to Brown. In the dirt, blocked again by Ryan Burnside. Ryan Burnside really can do it all. We saw him make that great catch in the outfield in left field. He plays catcher, and he also pitches. Had a 6-inning outing against the London Majors in London earlier in the season. Can Procopio get out of the inning? 1-2. And it's hit in the air, deep to left field. Ishihara back at the wall, he makes the catch. Yoichi Ishihara had about a foot to go before that left field wall. And the Maple Leafs finally get out of it, but not before they surrender a bunch more runs. And it's 6-0 Welland Jackfish. And now the bats for the Maple Leafs come up needing a lot of work. Your speed, and I think a lot of teammates would back up that you are definitely one of the speediest guys on the team. What is it about that speed that you bring to the game that you enjoy so much?
You know, like speed, they say you can't teach speed, right? So like bringing speed to the game is something that like most teams can't prepare for. You can break up a lot of double plays, you can steal bases, take extra 90 feet. So when you're able to bring something that's special to the table, it helps the team win, and that's what I like to be a part of.
Adam Jeffine sat on the bench for a long time while his team scratched across 4 runs against the Maple Leafs in the top of the 3rd inning. Yuichi Ishihara leading things off. Ishihara takes just inside. Way outside, ball 1, and you'd have to imagine with the Maple Leafs needing 6 runs to tie this ball game, Ishihara will probably have the red light to lead off the inning.
Yeah, 3 straights and lead off. He's taking all the way right here.
Right down the middle for a strike. Ishihara with a hit would push his batting average back over 400 on the season. And he lines one on 1 hop to first base, and a sharp play there by McCoy Pierce to record the out.
And in order to try and circumvent the obvious faults of having a super lefty heavy lineup facing a lefty like Adam Jeffine, what the Leafs have done here today is, go righty lefty throughout the entire lineup. They got 5 lefties and 4 righties, as opposed to usually they have 6 or 7 lefties in there with Costaldo and Carrington and Mara all being lefties. So they tried to circumvent that issue today, and it hasn't worked out super well so far. But that's the problem when these guys, when you're down essentially a third of your lineup that are starters and they're not here today, you try and scratch out a lineup any way that you can draw it up. And today, this is the route that they took to try and get that done, and we'll see if they can get something going here against the lefty Jeffine.
Yeah, we didn't mention that Greg Carrington is out of the lineup, the outfielder for the Maple Leafs as well. So in total, that's 16 of their home runs.
Yeah, you lose a lot of power with the absence of these guys.
In a ballpark where power is very key, Ryan Dos Santos finds himself behind the count 0-2. So there's only 2 home runs in the lineup. One is from Jose Vinicio, one's from Ryan Burnside. How about that? Breaking ball outside to Dos Santos.
Yeah, but as we always talk about, it's the challenge of playing the IBL, right? Like you got to find ways to win games without your star players there, and the Leafs have had to do it before. They'll have to do it again later this season. I'm sure Welland has had to play without some of their main guys throughout the season thus far too. It's just one of those things that you got to deal with as it comes. We were talking earlier about the nice blocking behind the play from Ryan Burnside. We just saw Sam Cocker make an outstanding block right there. Now, it didn't matter because no one was on, but just the premise of diving in front of those balls is something that a lot of these catchers are really, really good at on a lot of these teams.
Outside corner, strike 3 called. Dos Santos didn't like it, 1 away. 2 away. Adam Jaffine is rolling right now.
He has been, and with the big zone, and we've seen it's been a big zone today from home plate umpire Mackenzie Wright, is you got to swing at those pitches, right? Like the only way to counteract a massive zone is you got to swing outside of your comfort zone. And do you want to do it? No, you don't want to do it. You should never have to do it, but it's the matter of fact of life is that you're going to find some big zones, and you got to take advantage of it and just put the ball in play by swinging at those pitches.
Benicio, big swing and a miss. I had a feeling that he was going to take a big cut at the first pitch. Jose Benicio hit a home run in the last time the Maple Leafs were here at Dominico Field. And at the time, we had General Manager Jeff Lounsbury on the broadcast, and he was almost cringing a little bit at the fact that his leadoff hitter hit a home run, because now he said, oh, he's just going to get too swing happy and swing for the fences. And with the big pats behind Jose Benicio, they want him on base.
Yeah, well, you get the taste of it, right? Now you want to do it every single time.
Yeah. 1-1. This one's hit on the ground towards Luis Jean. Hard throw to first to get him. 1-2-3 inning for Adam Jaffine. He's only allowed 2 hits through 3 innings, and that's exactly what the Welland Jackfish wanted, because they scored 4 in the top half of the inning. To the 4th we go, 6-0 Welland. We talked to Jesse Hodges. We know he has a fantastic arm with that throw we saw from the outfield from left field. He has pitched a little bit, and I know you're wondering about how this pitching transition is going for Jesse Hodges. So let's look at the 3 main things that I got to talk to Jesse Hodges about. Can he bring it? Does he throw hard? And does he have a decent curveball? Jesse?
I always told myself if I couldn't make it as a hitter, I'd pitch. And I always knew I could pitch a little bit, so I'm just going to get on the mound and bring it. I throw hard and got a decent curveball, so let's see what happens.
Beauty. Thank you. So this is an interesting situation for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are going to bring out their closer here in the top of the fourth inning, Welland Alvarado. First pitch is bunted in front of the plate, fielded in foul territory by Ryan Burnside. And this obviously isn't a situation where the Maple Leafs are looking for a shutdown inning, more of a situation there. They want Welland Alvarado to get some work in, but he's nasty and he's fun to watch. Pitch is in there, but low, 1-1. So Welland Alvarado, the key to his success this season has been the slider. Justin Mara described it as the best slider he's ever seen in the Intercounty Baseball League. There's a fastball that's fouled off down the left field line. It has a ton of break. The movement isn't necessarily late, but there's a lot of it. And it has a lot of downward movement as well. Almost like more of a slurve. There's the slider, and it's right in on the hands of James Smybert, and he did a really good job to foul that pitch off.
Yeah, and obviously that's not where Alvarado wanted to throw it, but nonetheless, it's such a good pitch that you can throw it pretty much anywhere, and it'll get swings like that.
High chopper. Vinicio comes in, fields it smartly before taking it on a tough bounce and makes the play one away. In fact, that slider from Welland Alvarado is so good that if the fastball isn't working, he can just throw only that pitch. And you might think that that's a little bit of a silly thing to say, but we've seen it before. In an outing against the London Majors, the Toronto Maple Leafs had a 2-run lead. Welland Alvarado let the first 2 base runners reach for the London Majors. And they seemed to be hitting his fastball. Not hard, but they were hitting it a little bit. There's a fastball hit up the middle. Vinicio has a kick off his glove and goes into center field. Here's a 1-out base runner as Steven Moretto is on first base. So the London Majors reached on their first 2. He had a little bit of command issues, and when I say a little bit, I mean just a little bit. So what did he do over the next 3 batters? He threw every single pitch was a slider, except for one. He got strike 3 called on Eduardo D'Olio, who we know is one of the best hitting catchers in the league, other than maybe Sam Cocker. And that's what he did. He just threw the slider.
Yeah, when it's working, it's so good, you don't really need a second pitch. Now, his hard fastball is a bonus, as we've seen, but when you can chuck that slider in there consistently for called strikes, for swing strikes, in this league, you don't necessarily have to have a really good number 2 pitch when you're just a 1-inning, 2-inning guy like we've seen out of Alvarado so far.
He got Cleveland Brownlee and Byron Reichstein to strike out, throwing him nothing but sliders. And I know we've seen a lot of bad swings from Cleveland Brownlee. We've also seen a lot of really good swings from Cleveland Brownlee because he's a guy that sells out for power. His strikeout to end the ball game might have been one of the worst swings I've seen Cleveland Brownlee take. Fastball outside corner. There's a strike, 1-2.
And we talk about competitive swings. That was not a competitive swing by Cleveland Brownlee. And that's what Alvarado can do to you, right? Like, you can be a really good hitter, and it's just, the slider's so good that it'll make you look really, really bad.
There's the slider, finds the inside corner, strike 2. And now you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to see that pitch again here to Porcelado, unless he decides to go up and in with the high fastball. Two. Fastball, strike 3 called outside corner. So there's where Welland Alvarado's head was at. I was almost sure that was going to end up being a slider. Mateo Porcelado was sure it was going to be a slider, so he threw the fastball to get the strikeout on the inside corner.
Yeah, and that was almost an identical pitch to the one that Del Santos got called out on for strike 3. It's a wide zone, and I've talked about it before, but especially now in the case of Alvarado for our side, is when you can expand the zone there with a hard fastball like that, if you think the slider's coming and you don't get one, you're doomed. Because it's such a hard pitch and the zone is so wide that you got very little chance of putting a good swing on the ball at all.
So it's the catcher Sam Cocker standing in. He swings and misses. It'll be interesting to see how long the Maple Leafs leave Welland Alvarado in the game. If they could try and stretch him out a little bit in this outing. They don't necessarily need to. They have some arms available in the bullpen. But in the regular season, pitching is used a lot differently than the playoffs. As here's the 1-1, and this one's hit in the air. It's going to hang up for Dos Santos, who has to run over and make the catch. That one's swirling around in the wind, and we'll get to that thought in just a moment as well as Alvarado ends the inning, giving up just the one base runner. 6-0, the Maple Leafs bats with lots of work to do. Adam Mara is gonna. Dan Mara is gonna lead things off for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
You got it right on the first try.
There's only 2 of them here today, too.
I know.
So
We got to take. Usually there's 3, and then it gets real confusing.
Adam Jeffine back on the mound. Had a 1-2-3 inning last time he was out. Dan Mara takes a strike, 1-1. Jordan Costaldo is on deck. I believe he is acting as the manager today as well. Mara hits one hard on the ground. Lots of action for Luis Jean over there at shortstop. And he's been perfect. Makes the throw over to first base to get Mara.
Jeffine has induced a lot of hard contact, but on the ground today. He hasn't left much up. The Leafs haven't turned on anything in the air really so far. His off-speed pitches have been working, and he's been a ground ball machine. And like you said, the infield, especially the left side, has just looked so good for the Jackfish so far that anything hit on the ground has been an out.
Big swing and a miss by Jordan Costaldo. Strike 2. See if Jeffine goes with the breaking ball. Goes with the fastball and paints it over the outside corner. Strike 3. So here comes Garrett Takamatsu, and if you're looking for something to watch out for, I would watch out for a big swing here from Garrett Takamatsu. 2 outs, nobody on. We've seen Garrett Takamatsu have 3 home run games before in the Intercounty Baseball League, did it in a short time last year, and he can find that left field fence. He's got a ton of power. First pitch is just inside, ball 1. Breaking ball misses outside. Garrett Takamatsu just waiting for a fastball now in a hitter's count, 2-0. And he got one and just missed it as he hits it high and deep but foul down the left field line, nearly home run distance. 2-1.
And we've been seeing this game so far, whether it be the line drives to left field that Ishihara's had to deal with, the fly balls going on the right like we just saw there. The balls are cutting away. They're cutting away hard from the outfielders. So any ball hit down the line, even remotely close to the line, it has the potential for extra bases. Just the way that the wind is blowing, the way that guys have been playing the ball this game.
Jeffine delivers another breaking ball, and now it's 3-1. Breaking ball catches the outside corner, gutsy pitch.
And that amplifies the trust that Jeffine has had in his curveball today, which is it's been so good and so effective that he's thrown it in 3-1 counts. He's thrown it in a 3-0 count before. It's been a very, very effective pitch for him today.
Breaking ball fought off again by Garrett Takamatsu.
And if it works once, go right back to the well with it, right? It worked on 3-1, got the take, called strike, and then throw it again on 3-2, and Takamatsu barely fouls it off. It's been such a good pitch for him today. Why not? We talk about it all the time with Alvarado using his slider. If Jeffine's curveball is working like it is, just go right back to that.
That one missed way outside, so Garrett Takamatsu takes the walk. It brings up Ryan Burnside.
And we see on deck, should it get that far, is it's not J.J. Dutton. It's not the starting center fielder. It's Connor Lewis out there. So we don't have any information to pass along at this time as to what has happened to J.J. Dutton as that one's fouled away back near us. But Connor Lewis is the man on deck, hoping for an at-bat this inning. And as soon as we have any more information on Dutton's removal from the game, we'll pass it along to you. But right now, it's anything that the Leafs can get going here is going to be good for him. Lewis hoping for an at-bat here.
Swing and a miss on a curveball, strike 1. Sorry, I was a bit distracted there because I like to watch where the foul balls end up here at Dominico Field. And that one took a ricochet off a railing, rolled down the street, then went across the crosswalk and sat right between the legs of a dog. And he got himself a treat. That one's going to sneak up the middle for Ryan Burnside, and the Maple Leafs have 2 runners on. And you know what the dog did? He looked at his owner, and he ran down to the Maple Leafs dugout, and he returned the ball right to the dugout. Because he knew that ball was not his property. No, I'm just kidding. But the dog didn't keep it. In fact, I can see the ball right now. It's being taken down.
A Kirsty Pitt specialty here in the IBL.
There we go. There it is.
And up now comes the pinch hitter, Connor Lewis, for the center fielder, J.J. Dutton.
Lewis hits one off the glove. Jean throws to first in time. Big play. Adam Jaffine gets through a fourth scoreless inning, and his team leads 6-0. We head to the fifth inning. The Welland Jackfish up by a bunch. Oh, this guy's been busy. Luis Jean at the plate. He's had numerous plays out there at shortstop, and then takes a hard fastball in there for a strike from Wilhelmus Alvarado. Alvarado back on the mound for a second inning of work. Faced 4 batters in his first inning in the fourth. Connor Lewis is going to stick around in center field. He has replaced J.J. Dutton. He actually didn't pinch hit for him. He came in the inning before, but we hadn't noticed. Here's one hit on the ground to third that trickles foul.
And there was no discernible injury that we saw from Dutton. There was no specific play that we picked up on that he was showing any discomfort. So as soon as we get more information, we'll pass it along. But right now, we are just as out of the loop as everyone is at home watching this game. Dutton made a couple good plays in center field. There was a lot of action hit to him in the first couple innings, a couple fly balls.
I think this was something that was planned to get Connor Lewis out there. He's only played in 1 game so far this season for the Maple Leafs. And you have to remember, it's still early, but there are rules in the Intercounty Baseball League with how many at-bats you have to have had in the regular season to qualify for the playoffs. And the Maple Leafs have a lot of guys in their lineup, especially with some of these junior guys, where it's hard to get everyone into the lineup, and you want everyone to be available when it matters most, which would be in the playoffs. So that's something to think about as well. J.J. Dutton has a ton of at-bats, and this game is far from over, but with the score being the way it is, and Connor Lewis also can hit pretty well in center field.
He can, and with an already depleted lineup, have a rotation of guys in there. that's today's the game to do it, right? You don't have all 9 starters and your solid depth guys all here today. So is there a better time to do it? I don't believe so than games like this.
Luis Jean just dodged a bullet as that slider barely missed over the outside corner.
I'm not even sure if it actually missed.
2-2 from Alvarado. That one just missed over the outside corner. Johannes Alvarado has not liked the last 2 calls. 3-2.
No, and there's been a couple instances on both sides today with displeasure shown from called pitches behind the plate and the home plate ump. And those were 2 really good outside sliders that were both called balls.
Fastball hit on the ground. Garrett Takamatsu snags it, throws to first to get the out in the top of the 5th inning, the first bit of action other than a infield bunt single for Garrett Takamatsu over there at third base.
And beyond just Alvarado getting some work here, and as we said, the Maple Leafs don't play again until Wednesday, he's worked as a really effective stopgap, right? Like, it's 6-0 and Procopio was struggling a bit.
High bouncer skips over the glove of Johannes Alvarado and finds its way into center field.
But Alvarado has shut the Jackfish down more effectively than Procopio did when he was pitching in the game. And if he can get through 2 shutout innings here, and they might push him to a third, 1, it eats innings, 2, it gives him work, but 3, it keeps the Leafs in this ball game, right? We talk about how great their offense is. 6-0 down is not a blowout. It's by no means the end of the ball game. So if he can do his job here, he's done it well so far, and we'll see how long they let him ride.
So this is Brandon Nicholson now. McCoy Pierce getting on with that bouncer up the middle. Not a lot of hard contact yet against Alvarado. Nicholson is 0 for 1 with the strikeout this afternoon.
He felt the brunt of Procopio's hard fastball right in the middle of his back earlier, too.
Yeah, that was the other at-bat, the hit by pitch. He swings and misses way out in front of a slider. 1-2. Nicholson trying to keep that batting average above 300 at 309 on the year. Not bad for a number 9 hitter. 1-2. This one's hit in the air. It's looping and coming in and making the catch is Ryan Dos Santos. He had to cover a lot of ground, but with the speed of Dos Santos out there in right field, a rather routine play. That's been a good afternoon for Gio Morello. He's 2 for 3. He's scored a run, hasn't struck out yet this afternoon, and that first one was a ringing triple to center field. He'll get his first taste of Johannes Alvarado. First pitch is a slider that misses low. So this was way back in the first inning. Morello just scorching that ball to center field, and with the speed of Gianfranco Morello easily making his way into third base. Here's a chopper to second. Stan Mara makes the play, throws to first, and Alvarado is through 2 scoreless innings. And in those 2 scoreless innings, he's only thrown 28 pitches, so maybe an opportunity to see Johannes Alvarado come out for the 6th. 6-0, Welland Jackfish over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Applovich now. Pitch is over the outside corner. That was filthy. Strike 3 called. Really talented pitcher, and he has good stuff. Really good stuff. Over the outside corner for a strike. That's 4 consecutive strikes now from Alvarado. Breaking ball just missed inside.
That was a filthy breaking ball.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's a good, again.
Oh.
Oh my Lord.
Here's the 1-2. Breaking ball, inside corner, strike 3 called. Rest here at the broadcast booth. Here's the pitch, strike 3 called. Well, Janice Alvarado strikes out the side. So just one more from you. We saw Alvarado have a tough outing this first one. That fastball's pretty fast and that slider's pretty good. Can you tell us what those pitches look like from your perspective?
Yeah, they are really good. I mean, that's a guy that we're lucky to have on the team now. His fastball is really good, and he uses it effectively, right? So when he's pounding the fastball, he's hitting the zone, he's getting ahead of guys. It just makes that slider all that more effective. So I'm glad to see he's kind of turning around. That first outing was a bit shaky, but you cut a guy some slack. He's coming off a plane. He's a long flight. He's getting used to the hitters, but it's going to be good for us for sure.
Adam Jaffine has been rolling through 4 innings of scoreless baseball, and he will face David Alvarez, the number 7 hitter this afternoon, as the pitch is up and away. Adam Jaffine looks in. Here's the 1-0. This one's hit on the ground sharply to second base, and that one's gonna sneak through Costaldo. It'll likely go as a hit for David Alvarez with how sharply that ball was hit. Leadoff base runner for the Maple Leafs.
And that's what you're going to need here, right? Like we're at a point where it's the bottom of the fifth, and Jaffine has been rolling. To me, you got to put at least 1 or 2 runs across the plate here. If you want to keep this close, if you want to justify keeping Alvarado in this game, you got to put up some offense here. And it's a good start to the inning. Alvarez, a hard hit ground ball past the second baseman. It's a good start, but you got to build off of that. Now Ishihara's looking to do just that with a man on.
Ishihara laid on the fastball and rips it to the backstop. Oh, 0-1 the count to Yuichi Ishihara. Breaking ball finds the strike zone. 0-2. Ishihara 0 for 1 this afternoon. Ishihara hits a high chopper on the ground, and it's dropped again at second base by Costaldo. This one will probably go as an error. And the Maple Leafs have 2 runners on, and it's the number 9 hitter Dos Santos, and then the top of the order coming up for the Maple Leafs.
And it was just a hard chopper, a hard play to make. We've talked about the bounces that have happened on this infield. You had to try and take it on a low hop there, and he wasn't able to pick it as clean as he would like, obviously. And this is what we were talking about. Now you have 2 men on with Dos Santos coming, and then the top of the lineup. Dos Santos effectively a second leadoff man, the way he's been swinging it this year.
Dos Santos takes low, ball 1. Still waiting on what they end up scoring that play on the high chopper. It certainly was a tough play to make. There's a lot of people in the IBL that would probably have a tough time fielding that hop. check swing. Dos Santos doesn't go around. It's ball 2. This would be a situation in my eyes where I think that with the bunting ability of Ryan Dos Santos, he might try and lay one down. But
And we saw him try and do that earlier. He bunted one foul, so he clearly has it in him.
corners are playing a little bit in. Pitch is low, and Ryan Dos Santos will almost undoubtedly take until he gets a strike. No action in the Welland Jackfish bullpen. Outside, ball 4. The bases are loaded, and here comes Jose Vinicio. If you want a turning point in the baseball game, this is it right here. Adam Jaffine is on the mound. He's walked the last batter. He's got a couple plays that went to second base that could have been outs. Maple Leafs maybe a little bit fortunate to have the bases loaded with nobody out right now.
And it's slightly reminiscent of the last time that Jaffine pitched here, right? A very strong start, and he ended up giving 5 runs, but that he tailed off again. That he was cruising through the first part of his last outing, and then it got later in the game, or in that case to the 5th and the 6th for him. And, you know, it's what we're seeing here today. Toronto putting up 3 in the 4th the last time, and then they opened up the gap in the 6th. And we're seeing that here, bases loaded, nobody out. Welland's just looking to get an out. They're up by enough that they just need outs at this point. They don't care so much about who scores.
In that game, the leadoff hitter was Yuichi Ishihara, and the number 2 batter was Ryan Dos Santos. Fouled straight back by Jose Vinicio. He had a pretty good cut at that breaking ball. Dan Mara is on deck. Jordan Costaldo to follow. He would love to get an at-bat. The 0-1 to Vinicio. Outside corner for a strike. It's 0-2. A strikeout here for Adam Jaffine would be huge in the outcome of this ball game. Vinicio battling here, way behind in the count, 0-2. Swings and misses. That one way up and out of the strike zone. Strike 3. So Dan Mara is a great candidate for the Toronto Maple Leafs to try and push a single into the outfield, maybe try and take the ball the other way. But on the other hand, Dan Mara has also pounded the ball into the ground today as well, which could result in a double play. Takes a pitch right down the middle. The control issues are out the window now for Adam Jaffine. That's 4 consecutive strikes. Pitch in the dirt. Dan Mara has struck out just 4 times in 43 at-bats for the Maple Leafs. The Welland Jackfish wouldn't mind some contact as long as the ball is on the ground. Here's the 1-1. This one's hit on the ground, but that one's going to get through. It'll produce the first and maybe the second runs of the ball game. The throw from the outfield is high, and it bounces towards the Maple Leafs dugout. That's going to allow Dan Mara to advance the extra 90 feet. The Maple Leafs have put 2 on the board and now trail by just 4, but they're still threatening here in the bottom of the 5th.
And that's exactly what you want from Mara right there, taking the ball the opposite way. It's a great piece of hit and lining one down through the right side into the right field, and then just not a great throw from the right fielder Brandon Nicholson. That allows Mara to get to second base, and now you have guys on second and third when you should have had runners on first and third there. It was a very poor throw from Nicholson. He overthrew the catcher and went right to the fence, and that allows Mara to get to second base. But it's a great piece of hitting from Mara, and after the Vinicio strikeout, it's just what you need. And like we've been talking about, Jafine is not infallible, right? And we've seen that before, and we're seeing it again here. And you got to push across as many runs as you can, and then you dig into that depleted Welland bullpen. It's a very good start to a very good inning here for the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, in my eyes, I think Mateo Porcelado should have been playing a little bit further to the right there. When I think of Dan Mara, I think hitting the ball the other way and finding a gap.
And we've seen that so many times this year from Mara. So many times with runners on, just putting the ball in play and ripping it where they ain't, right? Hard grounders, hard liners through the infield. He's done such a good job of it this year.
Breaking ball to Jordan Costaldo. He hangs in there and takes inside. 2-0. Garrett Takamatsu is on deck. He's the most dangerous hitter right now in the Maple Leafs lineup. Garrett Takamatsu 1 for 1. Costaldo 1 for 3. He takes up and away ball 3. Adam Jeffine is not pitching around Jordan Costaldo right now, especially with the right-handed batter in Garrett Takamatsu. We haven't even mentioned today that this is kind of a tough matchup for Jordan Costaldo with the lefty-lefty. It's an even better matchup for Garrett Takamatsu. Here's the 3-0. Right down the middle for a strike.
And with that, we now see the Welland bullpen start to get active. It's Mike Mueller down there, who we talked about through some pitches yesterday. He's now walking to grab a ball as Jafine works here in the 5th.
Costaldo takes a breaking ball in there for a strike. That was a gutsy pitch from Adam Jeffine on the 3-1. Now it's 3-2. After Jordan Costaldo, you're thinking, could he possibly go back to the breaking ball again in the full count? Here's the full count pitch. Fastball, swing and a miss. The breaking ball might have been on the mind of Jordan Costaldo as he goes down swinging, and now it's up to Garrett Takamatsu to cash in those valuable runners in scoring position with 2 away.
And it's something that we haven't seen a whole lot of this year from the Maple Leafs, not being able to put the ball in play with runners in scoring position. They've struck out more this game than we've seen in the past. Especially right there, that's now Vinicio and Costaldo, both 2 out of the 3 top 3 guys in the lineup. You got to put the ball in play in positions like that. Welland's effectively giving you a run to getting out, and you just got to make contact. Jaffine's not going to overpower you, but it's uncharacteristic of the Maple Leafs so far.
Takamatsu takes a fastball outside. Adam Jeffine had success going with the breaking ball against Garrett Takamatsu in his last at-bat. Inside, 2 fastballs miss, but saying that about the breaking ball from Adam Jeffine against Garrett Takamatsu, in terms of what typically happens in a baseball game, a breaking ball from a lefty going in towards, or a breaking ball from a left-handed pitcher going in towards a right-handed batter is not usually a recipe for success. Long look in here from Adam Jeffine, shaking off the catcher a couple times, and Sam Cocker saying, let's make sure we're on the same page here.
And it wouldn't even be the worst idea in the world for Jeffine to pitch around Takamatsu. You have a lefty Burnside coming up. You got 2 out. You'd have the bases loaded. A lefty-lefty matchup might be what they want here.
Takamatsu has a good rip, but fouls it off. 2-1. Takamatsu lines one up the middle for a base hit. One run comes in to score. Ryan Dos Santos gets the wave and he scores without a throw, and it's 6-4 on a 2 RBI single by Garrett Takamatsu.
And I'm going to say it again, it's great hitting, taking the ball right where they give it to you. Right, Mara ripped it through the right side. He took a fastball on the outside part of the plate and he put it into right field. Takamatsu just sitting on a fastball there and hammers one right back up the middle. It's not trying to do too much in those scenarios. It's 2 hard grounders that have produced 4 runs for the Leafs. It hasn't been the power that we've spoken about that the Maple Leafs have been missing here today, but they're finding ways to score runs. And we were coming into this inning saying it's a very important inning for Jafine and Jackfish. And the Maple Leafs putting up 4 so far has been very important.
Yeah, that pitch was ripped on one hop through the middle by Garrett Takamatsu. He got the fastball, and I think he was looking for it. And that was smart by Garrett Takamatsu, because I think everyone in the stadium sees Garrett Takamatsu come up to the plate and thinks, oh, he might hit a 3-run homer. But that was the best outcome, right back up the middle to produce a couple runs. The Maple Leafs are right back in the ballgame.
They are, and the sooner they get into this bullpen that's been used a hell of a lot by the Welland Jackfish, Mike Mueller, who's warming up quickly now, who I would expect to come into this game the next inning, if Jafine can escape here. It'll be the 3rd straight game that he's pitched. He's pitched 1 inning and 2 innings over the last 2 games on the 22nd and 24th. So how much are they going to be able to get out of him?
Yeah, he was the last pitcher to come into the game against the Barrie Baycats, and he didn't have a very good outing. He gave up 3 runs on 3 hits over his 1 9th inning of work. Pitches in there for a strike. Overall, though, on the season, Mike Mueller has had pretty good numbers.
He has. His last outing inflated his ERA a little bit to over 4. And Burnside not liking that called strike on the outside corner. Again, we've seen it, especially on lefties, a very wide strike zone in the opposite batter's box.
Mike Mueller watching on, and he watches strike 3 called.
And Burnside flips his bat in disgust there. It's a big strike zone, and I don't know. It's a lot of pitches that we've seen.
Listen, the Maple Leafs will take it. They get 4 back, and we have a brand new ball game. The Welland Jackfish leading by 2 as we go to the 6th. Ryan, you've joined the Maple Leafs this year after a year off last year. How happy are you to be back in the Intercounty Baseball League playing for the Leafs?
You know, I love it. I love the guys. I love the camaraderie around the guys. It's a fun place to be for sure. It's good to be home. I like to be playing in Canada.
I know one thing that you take pride in is your speed, and I think a lot of teammates would back up that you are definitely one of the speediest guys on the team. What is it about that speed that you bring to the game that you enjoy so much?
You know, like speed, they say you can't teach speed, right? So like bringing speed to the game is something that like most teams can't prepare for. You can break up a lot of double plays. You can steal bases, take extra 90 feet. So when you're able to bring something that's special to the table, it helps the team win, and that's what I like to be a part of.
So what started as an outing where Welland Alvarado was just trying to get his work in has now become significant because Welland Alvarado is pitching in a 2-run ball game, and he's kept things close and will try to continue to keep things close. As Hogan Brown lead things off, he was showing bunt and then took a breaking ball inside. Welland Alvarado into his 3rd inning of work. His pitch count is now at 30 with that first pitch to Hogan Brown. And a breaking ball in there for a strike. And look at the reaction there from Hogan Brown. He thought that pitch was going to hit him, and then it curved right over the plate. Up and in, 2-1. Sharp fastball for a strike, 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3, another strikeout for Welland Alvarado.
And again on his slider right there, just no chance. No chance. Diving right, bombing out of the zone there, and just no chance for the lefty Brown.
Looks like Chris Nagorski is warming up for the Maple Leafs in the bullpen. Pitch way inside from Alvarado. That one got away from him. Chris Nagorski looks like he's still soft tossing here, so I don't think the plans are to bring him in this inning. Alvarado looks like he missed the strike zone high to James Smybert.
And this is Alvarado's 3rd inning of work. If they can get 3 good innings out of him, they'll take that all day long, right? He was a very effective stopgap after Dan Procopio.
And now he's fallen behind 3-0 to Smybert. Believe it or not, Welland Alvarado only has 2 strikeouts on the afternoon. He's induced a lot of weak contact. There's one in there for a strike. And speaking of strikeouts, our multitasking broadcaster Robert here beside me brought up between the half innings that Adam Jeffine, although he gave up 4 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning, he actually struck out the side. He had 3 of his 6 strikeouts this afternoon. And what's even more significant about that is that one's up and away, ball 4, when Welland Alvarado was allowed a base runner, is that coming into this game, Adam Jeffine only had 14 strikeouts and 17 in the 3rd inning, so he's not a guy who struck out a lot of batters. He got 3 in that inning, but
no, and they were quality strikeouts too. Like it was Vinicio Costaldo and then Ryan Burnside, 2 swinging, 1 looking, and it's uncharacteristic of Jeffine. It's uncharacteristic of the Maple Leafs. Beyond the walks and getting hit around there a bit, he's looked good.
That one's hit foul down the 3rd baseline.
Very similar to his last start here. Very similar. A very strong start to the game against the Leafs. Nothing going on for Toronto. And then just falling apart late.
Oh, 1 to Steven Moretto. Breaking ball. Just missed. 1-1. Steven Moretto is the cleanup hitter this afternoon, batting .311, 1 for 2 with a walk. Chops at 1 and fouls it off towards the backstop. Ball kicks out towards Welland Alvarado. 6-4 Welland Jackfish. They led 6-0 at one point, but the Toronto Maple Leafs have since cashed in 4 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning. Another breaking ball that Moretto just gets a piece of. And now the Jackfish are starting to ramp the pitch count up a little bit against Johannes Alvarado. One, two. Swing and a miss. He got him. 2 away.
And on the flip side of that, Nagorski has stopped throwing. He's ready to go whenever the time comes. He sat back down, hiding under the Leafs umbrella down there in the bullpen, but he's been throwing long enough that as soon as they need him, he'll be ready to enter this game.
And listen, it is a hot day here today at Dominico Field. We know there was some rain in the forecast. It cleared up, and it's scorching out there on the field.
It is hot and humid. Otherwise, a beautiful day for a ball game, especially after what we've had the last couple days. It is gorgeous. The weather is gorgeous. Need some sunscreen, need some ice cream, need a milkshake, but otherwise, a fantastic day for baseball.
There's a breaking ball that finds the strike zone. Johannes Alvarado is out in front, 0-2. This is Mateo Porcelato, the second baseman. Oh-2. High chopper to second base. Fielded by Vinicio, and he throws it away up the first baseline. Runner will move up to third base. That was going to be a tough play any way you cut it. And now it's first and third with 2 outs.
And I'm not entirely convinced that Vinicio would have been able to get him at first there anyways. Porcelato runs very, very well, and it would have been a very close play. But on plays like that, I mean, now you have runners at first and third, and a single scores a run. Alvarado's got to be careful out there.
Cocker take it inside. One and one now. Sam Cocker is 1 for 3 this afternoon. Sam Cocker coming off a 2 for 3 day against the Barrie Bay Cats. That was yesterday. Both the Toronto Maple Leafs and Welland Jackfish are coming off losses to end their extended winning streaks over the Barrie Bay Cats. The Maple Leafs, they lost 15-3. And the significant part about that game for the Maple Leafs is it was the first time this season that Toronto had failed to score 5 runs. They just got 3. Cocker, check swing, did he go? No, and the runner at first base will move up 90 feet. Mateo Porcelato is in scoring position.
Another good block from Burnside right there. Digging it out, keeping it in front.
Sam Cocker has a couple ducks on the pond here, and he would love to extend the lead once again for the Welland Jackfish.
Couple fish in the pond.
Swing and a miss. Johannes Alvarado got him. Throw to first to complete the strikeout. And Alvarado is through 3 scoreless innings, and he's given the Maple Leafs a chance to win as they trail by just 2, and they can't wait to get the bats going once again. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not Adam Jeffine ends up back on the mound, and we'll have that for you in just a couple minutes. Teplovich now. Pitch is over the outside corner. That was filthy. Strike 3 called. Really talented pitcher, and he has good stuff. Really good stuff. Over the outside corner for a strike. That's 4 consecutive strikes now from Alvarado. Breaking ball just missed inside.
That was a filthy breaking ball. That's how you know it's a good, again.
Oh,
Oh my Lord.
Here's the 1-2. Breaking ball, inside corner, strike 3 called. Rest here at the broadcast booth. Here's the pitch, strike 3 called. Well, Janice Alvarado strikes out the side. So just one more from you. We saw Alvarado have a tough outing this first one. That fastball is pretty fast and that slider is pretty good. Can you tell us what those pitches look like from your perspective?
Yeah, they are really good. I mean, that's a guy that we're lucky to have on the team now. His fastball is really good, and he uses it effectively, right? So when he's pounding the fastball, he's hitting the zone, he's getting ahead of guys. It just makes that slider all that more effective. So I'm glad to see he's kind of turning around. That first outing was a bit shaky, but you cut a guy some slack. He's coming off a plane. He's a long flight. He's getting used to the hitters, but it's going to be good for us for sure.
Connor Lewis leading things off. He's behind in the count 1-0. After that inning, Brandon Nicholson got thrown out of the ball game, so he's not in right field anymore. Lewis hits one down the line. He's gonna cruise into second base, makes a big turn, but he'll stay right there. Leadoff single for Connor Lewis.
And a smart decision right there. You're the leadoff guy. Jafine's been struggling. You ripped it down the line, but there's no need to test a throw in a second there. There's every reason to stop at first base. You're down by 2. Alvarez is now the tying run. A very wise decision to stop at first base. And it's interesting, we just talked about Brandon Nicholson getting tossed. I originally was under the impression, I thought Adam Jafine had been tossed out of the game. I thought his day was done. There was chirping going on in between the half innings from the Welland dugout. But my mistake, it was in fact not Jafine.
Connor Lewis takes 90 feet on the wild pitch. So Mateo Porcelado is out there and left. We're trying to get this figured out here. Oh, we'll update you when we got it all sorted out. Yeah, Mateo Porcelado is definitely out there and left.
And it was a point I've been talking about throughout this game, which is just displeasure from both sides about the home plate umpire strike zone tonight. And Nicholson, I guess, had enough. But I had a feeling at some point today someone was going to get the axe, and it so happens to be Brandon Nicholson.
David Alvarez hit a hard hit single to second base in his last at bat. He's well ahead, 3-0.
Number 10 is in left field, whoever that is.
right down the middle. Three-one count now on David Alvarez. The Maple Leafs would take a walk. They would love to get the go-ahead run to the plate. David Alvarez representing the tying run. 3-1 from Adam Jaffine. Alvarez hits one in the air to center field. This one's pretty deep. It's at the wall and leaping and making a great catch. No, it drops in center field. It looked like it was a fantastic catch by Gianfranco Morello, but he dropped the ball, and David Alvarez came a couple feet from hitting a home run to dead center field, and he'll take a double. Connor Lewis goes into second base, and the Maple Leafs have the tying run in scoring position. Okay, let's take another look at that one. David Alvarez smashed that ball towards center field. And I think it was the crash into the center field wall that jarred that ball loose. David Alvarez, you could see on the base path there.
And with that hit, that'll end Adam Jaffine's day. Mike Mueller, who was throwing in the last inning, is going to come in here for the Welland Jackfish, a very tough spot. And, you know, there was debate about whether you put in Mike Mueller to start this inning, but with Jaffine coming out now, the Leafs are in a very, very good spot.
Well, we'll take a quick break, and we got more on the pitcher coming in when we come back. So we get one more look as we welcome you back here. Watch David Alvarez on the base path here. He looks, thinks this ball is caught, and he almost starts to head back to the dugout and then realizes, oh boy, I better get to a base, and he sprints into second base. That could have been very unfortunate there for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And good on David Alvarez to keep an eye on what was going on during that play.
And now, as Mueller finishes his warm-ups, Gio Morello is going to get a visit from both the head coach of the Welland Jackfish and their trainer.
I think that Gio Morello has just realized, yeah, he's cut. Yeah. I think he's cut from that center field fence.
Yeah, he took a hard crash into that center field fence and almost came up with it too. Jarring when you're running full speed, especially when you don't realize how close the fence is and you jump right into it. It can be very jarring, and of course the metal shearing of it can easily cut your hand, and I think that's what's happened here. But if nothing else, the timing that this has happened, he didn't realize it for a little bit. Now, Mike Mueller, who's already thrown a bunch of pitches in the bullpen, thrown his warm-up pitches, is now left standing around in the heat there with Sam Cocker on the mound.
Yeah, so while we have a moment here, Mike Mueller has had a lot of work over the last couple days. He pitched the 9th inning against the Barrie Baycats in what weren't very consequential innings, as Baycats were already leading that game 11-2 at the time. But Mueller threw a lot of pitches and he gave up 3 runs. So he's going to need a bounce back outing here against the Maple Leafs, and he has a heck of a job. He has to face Yuichi Ishihara and then Ryan Dos Santos, who aren't your traditional 8-9 hitters. And then if it gets that far, it would be the top of the order for the Maple Leafs. And oh, by the way, he's inheriting 2 runners in scoring position and nobody out. First pitch to Yuichi Ishihara is low for ball 1.
And after all that, after all we've seen today, the Leafs are a base hit away from a tie ball game.
Yep. And without, as this one's lined but foul into the Welland Jackfish bullpen, without Johannes Alvarado, who kept this game scoreless for the last 3 innings, it might be a different story.
And we've been saying throughout this game, as long as you can keep it close, as long as they capped it at 6, which is what Alvarado did, and he did it effectively. The Leafs offense is right there.
Ishihara just gets a piece of it.
And that right there was a good curveball from Mike Mueller. Hung it on the inside part of the plate, and Ishihara just fouled it right into himself. It was a very slow curveball, and an effective one at that from Mueller.
Ishihara hits one on the ground foul at first.
And you're right about Mueller. This is his 6th outing this month. He has been a workhorse for the Welland Jackfish, and up until the last outing, which inflated his ERA that we already talked about, he's been very, very effective for them. Now, they've had a lot of guys. Everyone talks about Davey Mendez, but Mike Mueller right here has been fantastic.
Davey Mendez did not pitch yesterday. This one gets to the backstop, racing home, and he is out at home plate.
And, oh, man.
Oh, no. Connor Lewis looked like he was well under the tag.
And Sam Green's out to get Connor Lewis off, who's visibly upset. And this is on the verge of spiraling right here. We're going to take a look at a replay of this, but up here, that didn't look close. That did not look close. And both teams have had their issues with the home plate umpire today, Mackenzie Wright, but that right there, that didn't look close.
Oh, man.
And you just saw it on the replay, and Lewis's hand got way in there. That was not a close play, and that's very unfortunate for the Maple Leafs. You don't get the run, you get called out. That's tough all the way around.
So now the Maple Leafs, instead of having the tying run at second base, have the tying run at the plate with 1 out.
And it's easier said than done, but you got to reset after all that.
Swinging, this one's going to get to the dirt, but David Alvarez will score easily. Ishihara is going to make it up to first base. So he strikes out, but there's no out recorded, and now it's 6-5, and the tying run is at first, and here's Ryan Dos Santos.
And that was just a filthy curveball right there from Mike Mueller. Like, Ishihara was so far out in front of that pitch, and it was such a nasty pitch. Obviously, Sam Cocker had trouble controlling it, and Ishihara winds up on first base, but that was such a good curveball right there from Mike Mueller. And we saw Jafim with a lot of nasty pitches early, and Mueller's now keeping that string going here.
Pitch in the dirt, good block. Ishihara can swipe a bag among the IBL leaders in stolen bases. Throw to first, not in time. Mueller keeping close tabs on Ryan Dos Santos, who's ahead in the count 1-0.
And 2 innings ago, I don't think the Welland Jackfish could have guessed that they were
Dos
going to be in a
Santos
game like this.
hits one to center field, tracks Gio Morello towards the wall. He makes the catch, 2 away. Jose Vinicio comes to the plate. Yuichi Ishihara is on first base. You'd think Ishihara would have some motivation to try and get himself into scoring position with the singles ability of Jose Vinicio. Vinicio takes way inside. Ishihara is dancing off of first base. Sam Cocker has a good arm behind the plate. He's only committed 2 errors on the season. Look at the lead and a jump as this one's fouled back. Vinicio levels the count. Ishihara has a huge lead at first base. I think there's no question he'll be able to steal second if he gets a good jump.
And we've seen him do this a lot. He's a very good base runner.
Doesn't go, dives back just in time. Boy, that was close. And it's in large part to the huge lead that Ishihara has off of first base, but he has it timed up. He knows how much distance he can get off and still dive back in. Mike Mueller trying to keep it close. Vinicio lines it right back to Mueller on the mound.
And Vinicio, after lining out there, he's making his case with the home plate up about a possible balk there from Mueller, not coming fully set. And I mean, that's another thing we can look at on replay very quickly if we can pull it up here. But a very interesting inning, and we'll take a look at that in a little bit. But back to a 1-run game.
Massive outing here coming. And Welland Alvarado is back on the mound for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll be back in just a couple moments. So we told you we'd have a replay on the balk. Here it is right here. And, I mean, in my eyes right there, it looks like he did come set. Take another look. Yeah, seems like there's a pause there, but we are looking at it from quite a distance.
Yeah, and I mean, Vinicio might have seen him move his glove or something along those lines. We couldn't catch that up here, so only Vinicio would know. But regardless, inning over, now we're in the top of the 7th in a 1-run game, and Alvarado is back out there on the mound, and now Ryan Wells is starting to throw in the Maple Leafs bullpen. Alvarado's fourth inning of work.
Big swing and a miss. Yeah, that's Ryan Wells. Down there in the bullpen, not on the mound yet. So once again, I don't think the plan is to have Johannes Alvarado pitch this inning if he can. Top of the 7th, Maple Leafs hanging around at 6-5. 2-1 to Welland Jun. Jun gets a piece of it and fouls it off the catcher Ryan Burnside.
And it's the bottom third of the order for the Welland Jackfish. Gene Pierce and then Tyler Dupuis will get his first at-bat this inning.
Swing and a miss. Nasty breaking ball from Alvarado. Five strikeouts now for Johannes Alvarado in relief. McCoy Pierce, the number 8 hitter. Takes outside. 2-0. McCoy Pierce playing first base this afternoon. The Welland Jackfish scored 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and 4 in the third. And then the Maple Leafs scored 4 in the fifth and 1 in the sixth. Then it's 6-5. High fly ball down the left field line. That'll be well foul. Tyler Dupuis on deck, hitting .292. He started quite a few games at second base for Welland this season. This one's popped up. Looks like it's gonna hook just out of play, and it actually ends up in the Welland Jackfish bullpen. That ball looked like it was gonna be foul and then just kept hooking back towards the field, but no one was there to make the catch. A new life here for McCoy Pierce. Alvarado delivers the 2-2 pitch, and this one's hit in the air to center field, deep to the wall, and it is gone! Solo home run, McCoy Pierce, and it's 7-5. The second home run that Johannes Alvarado has given up, and that's the first of the year for McCoy Pierce, and his first Intercounty Baseball League home run.
Yeah, and that slider just wasn't one of his better sliders. It broke in on Pierce, a righty, and he just pulled it. He pulled his hands in, it was low inside, and he just crushed it. It didn't go too far over that center fielder's, out of the center field fence, but, you know, a power hitter like Pierce can do that to you when you miss a pitch that badly on the inside part. He just got his hands around. It was a good piece of hitting, not a great pitch, and it happens. Alvarado's been very, very good so far, but like we've said, the Jackfish lineup has been so offensively gifted. It was bound to happen at one point or another.
This is going to be a tough play for Jose Vinicio. Gloves it, whips the throw to first in time. 2 away. So not only is that the first career home run for McCoy Pierce, it's also the first career extra base hit in his Intercounty Baseball League career. McCoy Pierce coming out of Kamloops, BC.
And it's totally revisionist history on my part, but the fact that the game has gone to where it's gotten so far, where it very easily could have and should have been a tie ball game for the Leafs going into this inning. And whether that you change your pitcher in that case, maybe Nagorski or Wells, it's totally revisionist. But one thing leads to another, and it's the butterfly effect of the plate being Connor Lewis being called out there. And, you know, now it's a 2-run game instead of a tie game.
McCoy Pierce has spent his last 2 summers playing collegiate summer baseball in the Western Canadian Baseball League. In 2022, played for the Okotoks Dogs. That's what they call them. Pitch way up and in from Welland Alvarado, 2-1. I say Dogs because it's D-A-W-G-S. That's the team name. That's awesome.
Good old Western Canada baseball, right?
Yeah.
Anything and everything thrown out there for a team name on the West Coast.
Breaking ball finds the strike zone. Welland Alvarado has lost nothing on that nasty hook. Breaking ball, check swing. Did he go around? No, says the third base umpire. Would have been interesting because Ryan Burnside would have had to go retrieve that ball to complete the strikeout.
And we'll see whether Munger comes back out for the Jackfish next inning. But right now, everyone's favorite Davey Mendez is holding the ball down there on the mound of the Jackfish bullpen. And it'll be the bottom of the 7th. It is getting close to his time.
Inside corner missed with the breaking ball. A walk from Welland Alvarado. Hogan Brown, the number 2 hitter, is 0 for 2, but he has scored a run on a walk. And Sam Green is going to come to the mound for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he might be making a pitching change here. He's talking to Welland Alvarado.
Obviously, we don't know for sure. I have a feeling what he's probably out there saying is that, listen, you got Hogan Brown, a lefty coming up. You got James Smybert, a lefty after that. You got 2 batters left before you get to Steve Moretto, the DH. So you get one of those 2 outs and finish strong here. I wouldn't personally be throwing in a righty against either of these 2 guys. They're just 2 good hitters. A righty-lefty matchup with Brown or Smybert isn't something that I would want to see, and I don't think that's something that Sam Green or Jordan Costaldo would want to see. So I have a feeling Alvarado has 2 guys to get an out, and then his day will be done.
Runner goes. Throw down, not even close. Morello steals the bag. Runner in scoring position now for the Welland Jackfish. Breaking ball, just low, 2-0.
And regardless who's catching on any given day, the Jackfish are such a good base running team that it's hard to throw them out anyways. There's a reason why they have had, I think, 46 stolen bases coming into this game. I'd imagine they're up over 50 now, 50 or 51. But none of these have really been competitive throwdowns from the Maple Leafs today.
Popped foul behind the plate. This will be pitch number 75 here from Welland Alvarado.
Yeah.
I don't even need to look. I know that's by far the most pitches he's ever thrown in the Intercounty Baseball League. Hogan Brown calls time.
And one final note on their base running. I have a feeling that Sam Cocker, one of the best catchers in the league, if you put him out there trying to gun down his own base runners, he's not going to have much success either. It's not a slight on any one catcher in particular. They're just so incredibly good at it.
This one's in the dirt. It goes to the backstop. Takamatsu's covering home, and now the throw hits the runner. Run comes in to score, and it's a mess on the infield for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Vinicio sprinting over to cover third base.
And Costaldo's wondering whether that was the third strike, I think, is what he was looking at. I don't think he knew that that was the third strike. I think he thinks that was strike two, and obviously we won't know for sure. But he wasn't running over to cover the base there. And he had his hands out wondering what was going on there.
If Ryan Burnside had looked at third base, the runner was about halfway between home and third at the time that he threw that ball down. They would have almost certainly had Gio Morello hung up on the base path, but obviously a tough play to make. And Garrett Takamatsu was sprinting in to cover home. This one's popped back. Weaves its way through oncoming traffic behind the ball diamond.
And if that was the case with Costaldo, he wouldn't be alone. I thought that was only strike two as well. I was shocked when everyone took off. So, I mean, we'll ask him and we'll see what was what, but that one's fouled away. But I too thought that was only the second strike.
Yeah, you're right. That was strike two.
And I mean, I'm not going to start making deep proclamations here and
it was strike two.
In the seventh inning. But if we go back, and I'm going to reserve comment until we get to the next half inning and I can look it over. But that is
unfortunate.
That is not good. So I'll watch it over and we'll watch it over and we'll get back to you. But
swing and a miss. Strike three. So Welland Alvarado runs into a bit of tough luck. Gives up a home run, which wasn't luck. That was smashed to center field by McCoy Pierce, and then the Maple Leafs throw it around on the infield and trail 8-5 to the Welland Jackfish. So just to clear things up from that last half inning, the home plate umpire was correct. That was strike three. First pitch is in there to a strike to Dan Mara. The confusion was the first pitch of the at-bat was a throw down to second base, and it was just a very small strike call by the home plate umpire. So no one had realized that the home plate umpire had actually called strike one, and that's what offset the count.
Yeah,
for
and
everybody else.
we missed it up here. Costaldo presumably missed it at first base, and then on Point Streak, if you're keeping track at home, also missed it. So it was in fact a strike, and if you go back and watch it, yeah, he makes a gesture. Nobody picked up on it.
So at the end of the day, right call was made, and some sloppy defense from the Maple Leafs cost them a run. 3-1 here to Dan Mara. And he takes ball 4.
And this may mark the end of the day for, Mike Mueller. They've had Davey Mendez down in the bullpen for some time, and yeah, he hands the ball off to the pitcher, and in comes the aforementioned Davey Mendez.
So we'll have more on him in just a couple moments as we take a short break here at Dominico Field. So Davey Mendez comes into the game for the Welland Jackfish, still yet to allow an earned run this season in the Intercounty Baseball League. Costaldo fists one foul to start things off. He comes in at a time where the Maple Leafs the Welland Jackfish need a shutdown inning. They just scored 2 runs to retake a 3-run lead. And in the bottom of the 7th, this is a big moment here for Mendez to try and strand that runner at first base. 0-1 to Costaldo. Fouls it straight back, just gets a piece of it. Jordan Costaldo is one of 2 players, I believe, in the Intercounty Baseball League to hit a home run, or to get a run even, off Davey Mendez. And in the only runs that Davey Mendez has ever let up in the Intercounty Baseball League, he gave up back-to-back home runs to Jordan Costaldo and Marcus Connect in the playoffs a year ago. This time he strikes out Jordan Costaldo on 3 pitches.
Yeah, a tough day at the plate for Jordan Costaldo today. It happens.
Now here's Garrett Takamatsu. Takamatsu lines one into the outfield. That one gets down for a base hit. 2 runners on for the Maple Leafs. That's only the third hit that Davey Mendez has allowed in his last 4 outings. So Ryan Burnside is in tough here, throwing the hard-throwing Davey Mendez. Mendez has never allowed a run in the regular season. Burnside swings and misses at the first pitch. This year, Davey Mendez has pitched 10 innings. He struck out 16, allowed just 1 walk. In fact, he's only walked 5 players in his IBL career. Breaking ball, that one finds the strike zone. Burnside behind 0-2.
And it's worth noting with that stat that in case a run does score here, Dan Mara at second will be charged to Mike Mueller. That's his responsibility, the leadoff walk. Whereas Takamatsu at first base is statistically Davey Mendez's.
0-2 to Burnside. Swings and misses at a hard breaking ball. Strike 3. Davey Mendez has come in, throwing 6 pitches and got 2 strikeouts. Now Connor Lewis, righty v righty. First pitch, swing and a miss. High fastball to Lewis. David Alvarez awaits on deck. 7 pitches, 7 strikes from Davey Mendez. Or 8 pitches, 8 strikes, I should say. Check swing, did he go? Yes, he did, says the first base umpire. Make that 9 strikes in a row. In case you're wondering, this couldn't be immaculate if that was on your mind, because Garrett Takamatsu mixed in a first pitch single in between the strikeouts.
A lot of swinging strikes from the Maple Leafs here this inning.
0-2. Strike 3 called. 10 pitches, 10 strikes. Nearly immaculate inning from Davey Mendez. He strands the runner on first. That was not his responsibility. And the Welland Jackfish lead 8-5 going to the 8th. Welcome back to Dominico Field. First pitch from Ryan Wells is swung on and missed.
Just didn't load.
I don't know if anyone saw on Twitter, but I made a bold prediction that I was going to win the prize draw at the Maple Leafs game today. I bought my raffle tickets and I won. First pitch takes a funny hop off the mound. Jose Vinicio throws to first. I won a Toronto Maple Leafs history book to everyone. My broadcast partner Gus was the only one on Twitter that said I wasn't going to win. So.
Do you feel like a winner though?
Yeah, I do.
Do you really?
Yes. Do you know how many great facts I'm going to be able to bring to the broadcast? Like, if anyone was going to win the history book, it'd be the person talking on the broadcast. I'm going to come, like, with a boatload of knowledge next game. I'm going to call the rest of this game before I read that. I can't believe I actually won, though.
As a curveball misses just outside and the count goes to 1-1 on Costaldo. Thomas West is encapsulated by his win here in the broadcast booth as that one's fouled away and it's quickly 1-2.
There's a lot of stats in this thing. I like it. Oh, this is really good.
Meanwhile, Ryan Wells is one pitch away from getting a second quick out of the inning. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Grounder chopped to second. Dan Mara comes in. He'll play it on a bounce. He'll throw it over to Costaldo, and there's quickly 2 away. 2 up, 2 down for the righty, tall righty Ryan Wells. And up comes the catcher, Sam Cocker. You know what? Let's switch things up. I'll do the play-by-play to wrap this inning up.
Yeah, that's how I thought it was going to go, to be honest.
It's the first pitch to Sam Cocker. Curveball taken low for a ball, and it's 1-0. Sam Cocker done a masterful job catching today behind the plate for the Welland Jackfish. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Chopped foul in front of the plate. Knocked it off the plate, hit his bat a second time, and it rolls to the mound for a foul ball, and it's 1-1. After Cocker should have get that far will be shortstop Louis Jean. Here's the 1-1 pitch, taken high for a ball, a fastball, and it's 2-1 looking for an at-bat here this inning. As Welland leads 8-5, Davey Mendez, who's been their closer much of this year, is still in the game. He'll hopefully pitch the final 2 innings. Here's the 2-1 pitch, a fastball taken outside, and a 3-1 count on Sam Cocker. Looks in, gets a sign, and here's the 3-1 pitch. Curveball low and in the dirt, and it'll be a 2-out walk, and that'll bring shortstop Louis Jean up to the plate. A 2-out base runner for the Welland Jackfish as they look to push a couple more across, widen the gap for Davey Mendez.
This book is really good, Gus.
I can tell. Wells gets his sign, and here's the first pitch to Louis Jean. Swung on that one, smashed out to deep left field, going over as Ishihara. It's cutting towards the foul pole, and that one's just out of play as Ishihara crashes into the fence. A deep strike, but a strike nonetheless. 15 feet to the right, and that would have been a 2-run homer for Louis Jean. Put a charge into that one. Slicing away from Ishihara and left, and just to the left of the foul pole. Ishihara had to pull up at the last second. Just another strike. Here's the pitch. Curveball swung on, Tap to short. Vinicio has it, plays it on bounce. We'll go to short way to second for Mara to get the force out, and that'll be the third out of the inning. A shutout, 4-up, 3-down inning for Ryan Wells as we head to the bottom of the 8th. Welland keeps an 8-5 lead, and we'll be back right after this.
So tough at bat coming here for David Alvarez facing Davey Mendez. Mendez pitch is in there for a strike.
Be the bottom third of the order here for the Maple Leafs after Alvarez will be Ishihara and Dos Santos.
Pitch is swung on and missed 0-2. Do you know that the single season record or all-time stolen base record for the Toronto Maple Leafs is Gaiman Teague, who stole 81 bases for Toronto. Alvarez fights it off and lines it to third base. Pretty good contact, but it's out number 1.
And time is slowly running out for these Maple Leafs here today. I mean, everyone knows how great Davey Mendez has been. As that's the first pitch strike for against Yoichi Ishihara. But 5 outs remaining and the Leafs are down by 3. Need some offense, and need some offense quick here. So it's tough to find against Davey Mendez.
Pitch is way outside, ball 1.
And if you look down in the Maple Leafs bullpen, it's ex-Welland Jackfish righty reliever Julian Tymochko warming up. It'll be if he gets into this game, if he pitches the top of the 9th inning, it'll be his second game of the season for the Maple Leafs, as that one's way outside against Ishihara. Julian Tymochko, a recent pickup for the Toronto Maple Leafs, released from the Welland Jackfish organization, and quickly finds himself a new home here in Toronto, looking to pitch against his former team.
Ishihara swings and misses at a high fastball. Yeah, Julian Tymochko pitched against the Toronto Maple Leafs in their last game against the Welland Jackfish. Maple Leafs scored a bunch of runs off him late in the ball game. So I guess maybe happy to be on the other side of things now. 2-2 here from Davey Mendez. Ishihara fights it off on a high fastball. tough pitch to get to.
And what you're seeing from a lot of these Maple Leafs hitters is Davey Mendez throws very, very hard. And what you're seeing a lot of them do is their front foot is flying open in the batter's box. So if you watch on that last pitch from Ishihara, his front foot, his left foot, he's opening up right there. And when you're getting a hard inside fastball, like a lot of these right-handers have been doing, and we'll see it again.
Lined up the middle. Good piece of hitting there from Yuichi Ishihara. He's on with
And
a
that's what
single.
that's what you want to do when you're facing a hard thrower like Davey Mendez. Is you don't want to open yourself up, because as soon as you open yourself up to that, you're obligated to try and pull the ball. And when you can't do that, you're going to induce a weak ground or a weak pop-up. A couple of those swings from Ishihara before, from David Alvarez, and then last inning from Connor Lewis, just your front foot flying wide open there, and if you don't pull it and you don't hit the barrel, you're not going to do anything with it. So it's easier said than done when you're facing a guy who throws so hard as Mendez does, and when he's tossing it inside. But you got to try and watch it. And on that base hit there by Ishihara, he didn't do that. He stayed within himself, front foot forward, and just ripped it right up the middle. That's what you got to do against these hard-throwing pitchers like Davey Mendez, is you got to stay in it. You can't be worried about a fastball coming in on you. And that's what Ishihara did really, really well.
1-0. Swing and a miss. We've seen Ryan Dos Santos try and put down a bunt once so far this game. This is a tough matchup for Dos Santos. And third base is playing far enough back that the speed would probably beat it out to first base. Swings and misses 1 and 2. Jose Venicio's on deck. That should be an interesting matchup for the Maple Leafs as well. We know Jose Venicio loves to swing at those high pitches. In fact, he got chased on one by Adam Jeffine earlier in the game. See if he can lay off it from Davey Mendez, should he get in at bat. Pitch to Dos Santos, fouled off. Tough breaking ball from Mendez.
And looking ahead to the ninth inning for the Maple Leafs, you're going to have the heart of the order coming up. Whether Venicio gets an at-bat this inning or next, you're going to be followed by your 2, 3, 4 guys, Mark, Costaldo, and Takamatsu. And we're at the time and the spot in the lineup where this is your best chance to score runs. You got to do it here. There's no one better that you have available. And if Dos Santos could reach here against Davey Mendez, that'll bring Venicio up, and then it gets interesting. You get to the heart of the order. You get to the guys with a little bit of power that you have today in this lineup.
23
But you gotta,
pitches.
Yeah.
23 strikes from Davey Mendez. 21 is a strike 3 called over the outside corner.
And another called strikeout against these Maple Leafs. It's something I'm sure they're all thinking about. Well, the Welland Jackfish have pitched them extremely well, and they've taken advantage of it. If you're going to get that outside strike called every single time, why not go back to the well every single time? If you're going to get that call, keep doing it. Whether it should be a strike or it shouldn't be is irrelevant. If he keeps giving it to you, you got to keep taking it. And that's what Davey Mendez has done. That's what Mike Mueller did. And that's what Adam Jeffine has done. And that's why there's been so many called strikeouts today.
Fisted towards Mendez, takes a funny hop off his glove, and he's safe at first base. Jose Venicio beats it out, and the Maple Leafs have a little bit of life.
And with that, the tying run now comes to the plate in Dan Mara. And he's been one of the best Maple Leafs hitters this year. We keep talking about it, not a ton of power. But all it takes is one swing, and this is a tie ball game. And like we've been saying, now's your time to do it. Mara, Costaldo, Takamatsu. This looks like the inning. If you're going to score against Davey Mendez, it's got to be here. And it's just one bad pitch from Mendez away from being a tie ball game if Mara can turn on it.
Dan Mara cashed in the first 2 runs of the ball game for the Toronto Maple Leafs back in the 5th inning. Did it on a hard ground ball single through the right side. Mendez with an 0-1 count. Breaking ball in there for a strike. Dan Mara thought it was high.
clip the top of the strike zone. He slams his bat down in frustration as he goes for a walk, and now it's 0-2. And there's no one who wants an at-bat more with the bases loaded than Jordan Costaldo, who's had a very tough day at the plate, and he'd love for a chance to redeem himself should Mara be able to reach. But it's a big if right now with 2 outs and 2 strikes on Mara, and Mendez looking as good as he has been so far.
Way outside. That's just the 4th ball that Davey Mendez is throwing in the ball game. One-two to Dan Mara. Davey Mendez trying to strand a runner in scoring position. Here's the pitch. Swing and a little chopper at home plate. Oh no, it was swing and a miss, strike 3. Davey Mendez gets out of it, allows 2 base runners, but in total has thrown 24 strikes in just 4 balls. And the Maple Leafs will have their last chance in the bottom of the 9th, trailing by 3 runs to the Welland Jackfish. Ryan Wells back out for his 2nd inning of work for the Maple Leafs. And the first pitch is lined into the outfield, and that one's going to find a gap. McCoy Pierce has 2 hits in his last 2 at-bats, and in those 2 ABs, he has his first 2 extra base hits in his Intercounty Baseball League career.
Now batting second baseman, number 6, Tyler Dupuis.
Up until that point, Ryan Wells had allowed just 1 hit over his 1 inning of work. Now he's got a runner in scoring position, and Tyler Dupuis, who is acting as the number 9 hitter right now, came in after Brendan Nicholson got ejected from the ball game. Wells' first pitch is low to Tyler Dupuis. Ryan Wells' outings this season have been up and down. He had a streak of 3 consecutive outings between June 9th and 18th where he didn't allow a run. This one's hit high in the air down the right field line, and it's foul. It bangs up against the wall, about 10 feet foul down the line. Gave up 2 earned runs against Barrie in an inning of work, but that was a game where the Maple Leafs didn't get much pitching at all, giving up 15 runs. Maple Leafs. Last game against Barrie, they had 5 errors in the ball game as well. They'll be happy, at least with a defensive performance today. Takamatsu fields it on the ground, throws to first. Really good play there by Garrett Takamatsu coming in to field the bunt. Runner moves up to third base.
And that's the second time this game we've seen a very, very good bunt by the Welland Jackfish. This time they move a runner up, get him over to third base with less than 2 outs, and now a hard grounder anywhere or a deep fly ball is likely going to score him. The Maple Leafs got to bring the infield in here, but this is 2 bunts today that have just been perfectly placed for the Welland Jackfish. 1 for a hit, 1 for a sacrifice.
Fly ball, foul territory. This will be a tough play. Jose Vinicio comes over and makes the catch. The runner's gonna hold at third base. The throw comes towards the plate and Dan Mara cuts it off to make sure nothing happens beyond that. Ryan Wells gives a point out there to Jose Vinicio for tracking that one down. That was a tough play.
Yeah, that was a terrific play by Jose Vinicio. Again, the ball slicing away from you. It's going towards the Maple Leafs bullpen. You're running across the field there with your back turned to the infield. And just a fantastic defensive play from one of the better defenders in the IBL at short from Jose Vinicio.
Here's Hogan Brown. Pitch is low.
And the other thing that does is it keeps the runner in third base. It's the second time I've talked about this, but strikeout or pop-up is what you want to do in scenarios like that.
Swings and misses, ball gets to the backstop, and Burnside has no play, and the Jackfish extend the lead by 4 runs. It's 9-5. Unfortunate there for Ryan Wells. He was a pitch away from getting out of the inning and throwing 2 scoreless frames. I guess we'll see what happens in this Hogan Brown at bat to determine what would have happened. It is 0-2.
And that's the 3rd time today we've seen a swing and strike go to the backstop for the Maple Leafs. It's cost them at least 2 or 3 runs.
Strike 3 called. 1 pitch later, Ryan Wells gets the strikeout, and it was a good breaking ball over the outside corner too. And Ryan Burnside frustrated on his way back to the dugout, but a tough pitch to block at that. 9-5, Welland Jackfish over the Toronto Maple Leafs. And not sure if Davey Mendez is coming back on the mound. I assume he is. There he is. And his task will be to get 3 more outs before the Maple Leafs get 4. First pitch to Jordan Costaldo is in there for a strike. Jordan Costaldo trying to find some of that magic that he had a year ago against Davey Mendez. But with a 4-run lead and a guy who's never allowed a run in the regular season, this will be a tall test for the Maple Leafs. 0-2, strike 3 called. Oh, strike 2. New life.
And with that, Scott Gillespie, the righty reliever for the Welland Jackfishes, begins throwing down in the right field bullpen, hopefully not needed.
Whoa. I don't know if you saw that, but the home plate umpire started to give the strike 3 signal and then didn't, so it's 2-2.
This has been quite a game from the home plate umpire, Mackenzie Wright, so far. Quite a game.
Davey Mendez, long look in, and now here's the 2-2. Way inside, and it nearly hit Jordan Costaldo. The count has run full. Davey Mendez has only walked one batter this season. Jordan Costaldo is the best in the Intercounty Baseball League at drawing walks. Here's the 3-2. Fastball, this one's chopped on the ground. Mendez will meet Jordan Costaldo halfway up the baseline and then doesn't put the tag on. He turns around and throws to first. And that's the first out. Well, Jordan Costaldo might have just missed that pitch. He was almost positive that was going to be a fastball with the 3-2. Got it, but just missed it.
Yeah, and it's been a bit of a tough game for a number of these Maple Leafs hitters. Like going into it, we knew at least 3 or 4 regulars weren't going to be here, and Costaldo hasn't had a great day at the plate, and he'll be the first to tell you that, as he's been called out on a couple tough pitches a couple times. But it's just one of those games. It's one of those games, and you clawed right back in it. 6-5 at one point. I'll die on the hill that it should have been 6-6, but
in there for a shake. You can kind of see throughout the lineup today, without Justin Morrow, without John Salazzo, without Greg Carrington, the Maple Leafs are missing some power.
yeah, what was it? 16 home runs, I think, combined between them all.
Fouled off.
It's tough, and you're going to have games like this. And, you know, for a couple innings there against Jaffine and against Mike Mueller a little bit, you were manufacturing runs, which is what you got to do, which is what the Jackfish have done all game. You know, 9 runs, one home run for Welland. They're not overpowering you. They're taking advantage of you on the base paths. How many stolen bases have they had today? 4 or 5, right? Advancing 90 feet everywhere you can get it. Wild pitches.
Takamatsu strikes out. .32 strikes, 7 balls from Davey Mendez.
But at no point should anyone look at this game or look at the stat line and believe that Welland was that much better. I wouldn't say that. Welland has had a very solid game. They have made very few mistakes, if any at all. They've done very well as that one's popped up, and this one will likely end the ball game.
Catch is made. Ryan Burnside retired. Davey Mendez throws 3 really good innings to close out the ball game for the Welland Jackfish. He'll earn the save. And the Maple Leafs had a chance today to come within half a game of second place. Instead, the Welland Jackfish extend their lead over first place. And the Barrie Baycats' next game will be big to see whether or not the Maple Leafs have a chance to be within striking distance once again. But the offense just not there when they needed it for the Maple Leafs.
No, and like we've been talking about it, we're not going to dwell on it, but there were so many positives with this game today, right? Alvarado coming in. Now it'll be interesting to see whether he's available on Wednesday should they need him to close the game. I have a feeling he won't be because of his pitch count, but I have a feeling they would likely to not use him anyways. But the fact that they weren't able to score too many runs, they had a couple innings there and they couldn't manufacture against Davey Mendez. They had some chances and they couldn't score, but of course that's Davey Mendez. That's bound to happen. So there were a lot of positives, but just too many runs given up. You gave them too many chances on free 90 feet, here, there, and everywhere. Stealing bases, Welland was really good at, while pitches costing runs. You know, yeah, that game changed when the play at the plate, when Connor Lewis was called out. There's no denying that. So it unraveled a little bit after that, but they'll be right back at it again on Wednesday, hoping to come back and beat a Barrie team that beat you down a couple days ago. They want nothing more than get out there and take out these Bay Cats, who just laid it on you in your last time. And I'm sure Welland will be saying the same thing the next time they play Barrie, because the Bay Cats are on a roll, and someone's got to, you know, deal with them one way or another. So, but yeah, a tough game overall. We'll be back on Wednesday, though, as Welland wins this one 9-5.
And you can watch that game here on YouTube, Toronto Maple Leafs, Barrie Bay Cats, in just a couple days' time on Wednesday night. We'll see you then.